What a stunning team they are, the Cats, after a stunning Friday night opener. They've won 94 of their last 109. They were beaten last start against the Bombers. They come here as equal favourites against the West Coast Eagles, who have carried all before them this season. What a win over Carlton. Let's join Tim Watson with John Worsfold.
Well, John, another big challenge for you tonight. You've had plenty of time to prepare for this one. Are you confident the boys are going to be right after the break?
Yeah, I'm very confident. Yeah, they're looking forward to the clash. You know, the Cats are still an awesome side. We've got a lot of respect for how they've achieved everything over the last number of years. So we know it's going to be a challenge for us.
Essendon defeated them last weekend. Did they show you anything that you didn't know about Geelong and what you have to do to beat them?
Not really, no. You know, there's nothing. Teams have tried different things against Geelong over the years, and I think there was nothing that probably surprised Geelong last week, but they didn't have their best night. We've got no doubt they don't have too many bad ones in a row, and they'll be very good tonight, but we're looking forward to that test.
You'll miss Lynch tonight. Who covers for him tonight?
Well, we've still got Kennedy and Darling out there with our ruckman sitting in behind them, so those two will do a bit of work up the ground, and Brad Ebert's got good hands as well, so he'll spend a bit more time forward.
John, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thank you.
What a turnaround for John Worsfold and for this team. They lost 50 games over the last 3 seasons. They are flying at the moment, are the Eagles. It's a cold night, but it's dry. It's a magnificent crowd building up. We are covering all areas here at Patterson Stadium for what should be one of the Friday night matches of the year. Let's join Tom Harley with Chris Scott.
Chris, somewhat uncharted territory for you as a coach. What are you expecting to see from your boys tonight?
Oh, well, they hate losing, so losing 2 in a row would be devastating for them. We're going to give it our very best shot tonight, no doubt about that.
And West Coast obviously pushing for top 4. What's surprised you about them this year in their form?
Oh, just how much better they've got with their skill level. I mean, everyone's talked about their defensive pressure, but I think they've been working on that for a little while. They're just using the ball forward a lot better.
And just a one-word answer, do you think Carlton will get tagged from half-back?
Oh, I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Very good. Good luck tonight. And Dennis, you've heard it there from Chris. Back to you.
Good on you, Tom. So the West Coast Eagles coming off that bye, and of course 12 days ago they accounted for Carlton by 36 points, but the best player that day, Quinton Lynch, is missing tonight. And Lee, looking at that forward line in his absence, it doesn't look as versatile.
Well, it doesn't, but they've still got plenty there. I think to beat Geelong, you've got to keep their defence occupied, keep Taylor and Lonigan and Scarlett rowing about defending, and I think they've got plenty of go-to players. Lacra's good. Cox and Natanui when they're down there. Young Darling has been good. So they've got a lot of players they can go to. So I think that's what you need against Geelong, a lot of go-to players. But undoubtedly, Josh Kennedy's the one who's going to kick the most goals. Doesn't kick sixes, but he kicks 2s and 3s almost every week. A really much improved, really developing young key forward.
Don't forget the 10. Against the Western Bulldogs. Apart from the 10, that's right, we discount that. Dean Cox enjoying a wonderful season, 4 times All-Australian, but not since 2008. Who knows? He could make it 5, and rather soon. And Daniel Menzel, 19 goals for the season, including 2 on this ground against the Dockers back in round 2. So it's Friday night's big night. It's footy at Subiaco Oval, Patterson Stadium now, looking forward to it. From Perth, it's the West Coast Eagles and Geelong. Coming up on the halftime show, Joel Selwood catches up with his former skipper Tom Harley. And Nick Natanui talks about his off-field challenges, cutting his hair, and that mark. Inside the forward 50, and Natanui.
Coin toss for the night. Right down. Well, that's not yet. Richard? Okay, so Cameron, your call, and Richard, when you're ready. Tails was called, and tails it is. Okay, thanks.
2 players who have known success. Darren Glass and Cameron Ling tossing the coin. Hardly any breeze to speak of. What there is going across the ground, and Bruce can vouch for the fact it's bitterly cold down there. It's been that way in Perth for the last week or so. No rain, but temperatures early morning of 1 and 2 degrees as we take a look at the mega wall and the players to watch tonight.
We're going to focus here, Lee, on the Eagles forward lines here. So obviously Josh Kennedy and Jack Darling, the key power forwards. The interesting one, I think, is Mark Lacra, a very dangerous player. Scarlett was actually tagged by Welsh last week against the Bombers. I think it'll be a win-win for both clubs if that's the matchup that eventuates, keeping both players honest.
Well, and Natanui, we know that Natanui or Cox, most of the time you think one of them's going to be forward, but it looks like Natanui is heading into the centre circle. So as they often do, the Eagles, they're going to have both their big ruckmen. Well, one playing as a ground level player. in the centre bounce there.
And the one constant for West Coast in the middle of the ground's been Priddis, and he's actually starting forward at the moment. So there's the direct swap. So that's an interesting start already for the West Coast Eagles forward.
But at that point of the Eagles forwards keeping the Geelong defenders defending rather than being able to sag off and help their teammates, that's going to be critical for them to kick a score. And
it looked like it was Scarlett going to Kennedy in the Eagles forward line. You see Selwood playing the job on Steve Johnson, and perhaps Taylor Hunt running with Daniel Kirk.
So the two big men at the opening centre bounce for the Eagles. Cox and Nat Nui. Ottens looks across at them. No doubt a little intimidating. As we get underway on Friday Night Football, the umpires tonight, Donlan, Margetts and Rosebery. Opening bounce. Hangs a long time in the air. Umpire got some height on that. It's hooked down by Cox. Nat Nui's over the football. And that ball's not coming out.
Thanks, Brad.
Virtually a sellout crowd. It was said to be sold out. Just looking around, I think it is. Anything over 42,000 gives us a sellout at Patterson Stadium. No one touched the footy that time. Ottens only as far as Nat Nui lays it off. Rose has got it forward of the wing. Goes down inside the forward 50. Storming up the ground was Darling. Missed the mark. Priddis tries to lay it off. Ebert's in trouble. Ball just falls to the ground there. Bartel trying to back out, going nowhere, and a ball up.
It's an interesting decision to start Scarlett onto Kennedy there. Probably making sure he doesn't get tagged, but giving him the job on the opposition's main target forward.
And just on screen before was Andrew Embley, who's sitting a kick behind the play for the West Coast Eagles.
Bartel, third man up. We see him do that a lot, don't we? Corey's quick kick away. One of a couple of Cats players who came here early. Varco, I think last week, and Corey on the weekend. Start important here. The Eagles have been fast starters this year. They've won a lot of opening terms. Now at the back end, both these teams have got impressive final quarters as well. So Stokes, little give. Bartel couldn't quite take it. And then Selwood squeezing forward. And this ball running out.
Actually a really important kick that, just to gain meterage for West Coast, because their press has been much forwarded this year. Just gaining meterage early, and then the ability to set up and lock the ball in is going to be really important to start the game.
So boundary throw in. Ottens and Cox. They've seen a bit of that. Neither ruckman touching the footy, and sometimes it works to your advantage, sometimes it doesn't. Cox gets the free kick this time, goes down towards the boundary in that forward pocket. Knocked wider still by Lonigan, taken by Ebert, and he just missed. Gee, that was a good effort.
And with Scarlett taking Kennedy, it means Harry Taylor, who you think would take Kennedy, is actually on Ebert. So he's got a medium sizer to contend with.
They're playing both Ebert and Priddis forward, West Coast at the moment. So a couple of defensive type potential players.
A lot of tactical positioning, I think, early in the game to try and stop Scarlett being tagged. Hearn's up on the wing, so Embley's the spare back.
I wonder now we see Ling and Priddis together, which we expected, didn't we?
Yeah.
So Priddis going forward didn't bring Ling back, but now they find one another on centre wing as Ling's kicked to about 35 metres. Glass there. Well done by Varco, who gets some space and goes with a long one and kicks the opening goal. Almost out of nothing there.
Well, it wasn't that speed and class. Just Varco, when he gets the ball with a half a metre of space, his acceleration, just to get himself out from under the pressure. And then a fantastic finish. That is a really skillful goal.
Picked up some really good form down at Skills Stadium against Adelaide a couple of weeks ago. He's been in Perth now for an extended period of time with both Joel Corey and Joel Selwood. Looks exceptionally fresh. Just in the West Coast Eagles back line at the moment. Darren Glass was lining up on Matthew Stokes at that stage. Now I think he's rolled over to Steve Johnson. So not playing on Podsy Adley, which I think a lot of people would have thought. But outstanding start to the game for Travis Varco.
Amazing what a couple of weeks in the West can do. Varco missed last week. Wonderful snap. Again, these rucks hesitate as they came at the footy. Both were flat-footed as Cox managed to knock it forward. That's swift. It was claimed. And certainly the umpires bouncing it very high, indicating the centre circle at least is very high. Umpire Donlan. There it goes again, and they wait, and they wait. Knocked down by Cox wide, taken by Hearn. Slips a hand pass away. Swift, a little too cute there. Curtis had it bounce off his body. And there's a high tackle and a free kick. I think it may be Stokes in that pack.
Put him up now.
No, it's Christensen. So Christensen gets the free. Backward of the wing. To the east from Adelman. Harry Taylor long down towards the attacking 50. Podsiadly got hands to it. Well played, coming through and knocking it across the line down there was Schofield.
I find it really interesting. I know it's mentioned a couple of times. Harry Taylor would normally always play on Kennedy.
Yes.
But Taylor's virtually the spare defender now, although he's just swapped over.
Ebert started on Taylor with, as Lee said, Scarlett had the job on Kennedy for the first 5 or 6 minutes. Enright bangs the ball back in, and they've got a Lucy back there. Smith takes the mark. It's been pretty impressive, Smith. He kicked a couple of goals against the Blues the last time West Coast played. Then that careful kick coming out of the back half by Glass. Schofield has re-signed. He's been impressive, Schofield. Took a little while to find his feet in the AFL. Now Glass, a long ball. The Cats have got the numbers. Menzel, who started down back, a goal kicker this season, and a boundary throw-in.
That passage of play worked into Geelong's hands. It was a slow play going from back pocket to back pocket, enabling the Geelong whole team to form a defensive zone structure.
Vardy and Cox reaching over the top. Vardy, Bartel into a tackle. Vardy had the ball, then lost it. Well done by Cox. Simply dug it out. Taken by Nikoski. Goes with the outside of the boot. Wanders down to half forward. Coming up to meet it, Lonigan. Wojcinski likes to run, not this time. Kelly, time enough to kick it. Inside the forward 50, Podsiadly came, gave a contest, it spills in front. Christensen ran into a dead end, trying to get through as Hearn, only as far as Ling, turns around, pops it back towards full forward.
Ling, James Podsiadly.
Podsiadly's getting it free.
You're locking onto his arm. No, you're holding his arm. It's a free kick.
It's unfortunate, Schofield. He could see that Cox was going to mark the ball pretty much uncontested. He just had tried a bit too hard to keep Podsley out of it. Grab his arm, umpire saw it, free kick.
Well, as Kenny Rogers said, you've got to know when to hold him, and that wasn't the time to do it. Podsiadly struggled last week. Should kick this. If he gets off on the right foot, that will be a good start for he and the Cats, and he slotted it.
We just see the free kick here that Schofield's given away to Podsiadly, but the important and impressive part from a West Coast point of view was Dean Cox was able to get back. Started with Embley as a loose man behind, so clearly a tactical ploy from John Worsfold.
The back page of the Western Australian said today the Cats will want a fast start, and that was the highest bounce I've ever seen, I think.
There's a trampoline in there.
Got the free, got the free. James, you're free. You're free.
But it is off-putting the big guys. Suddenly, this is most unnatural. Not used to this.
So Daniel Kerr. What a great season he's had so far. Turning back the clock. Big fly. Darling was higher than everybody. Chapman to Bartel. Doesn't get it out all that far. And then Podsiadly, who was goalless for the first time last week, getting an early one. Embley getting it from Rosa. Lacroix dangerous here in the front spot. Can they rush it over? Well, Taylor doesn't need to here, and that's a terrific kick. I mean, he was jammed up on the wrong side really for him, and he found Duncan, and then Duncan down the line. Kelly, clever, looks for Varco, was just out of play.
Just keeps bouncing out of the Geelong defence at the moment. The Eagles have gone in there 4 times, but it's just immediately been repelled.
Just eyes on the player there, Mitch Duncan.
Yep. Perfect bump, didn't take him high. Here's Kerr, dragged down by Chapman. The abrasive one, it comes across towards Selwood. That's Adam inside the forward 50, sliding and taking the mark is Hunt. That's Josh. So Hunt deep in his own defensive area. On a beautiful night in Perth, albeit a cold night. Taylor Hunt dropped the mark. Ball just falls at his feet. Lacroix, quick thinking, moved it about 15 metres. Claiming the mark is Taylor, nothing doing. Plays on towards the wing. Awkward half volley. Podsiadly knocked it in front. Nikoski held too long. Advantage paid. Apparently not.
Seeing a great battle at the moment. West Coast Eagles getting their repeat inside 50s.
He's hurt Potts. So in that tackle, he's taken a long time to pick himself up. Taylor in the front was strong there. and then getting away from Lonigan. Scarlett, he knew someone was coming, and he's kicked the ball very well, actually. It was, Dennis, it was.
Centimetre perfect, Bruce.
That's it.
Be out of bounds.
That wasn't so good, Bruce.
That was.
As soon as you go off the line of the mark when you're out of bounds, well, it automatically becomes out of bounds.
So Menzel's learned something from the legend tonight. So inside that forward 50.
Block, jump, Corey.
At the moment, Geelong are just happy to kick it out of defence. They're actually getting the ball. They're winning all the contests in the Eagles forward 50. But at the moment, they've been certainly under pressure, been happy just to hack it out long and wide.
Selwood did a good job on Judd a couple of weeks ago. Corey's free kick.
To the wing, Nat Nui. Uncontested.
Lee's point is spot on. Geelong obviously winning the ball in their defensive 50, but West Coast continually winning it back. So games played in their front half.
Adam Selwood down towards left half forward, told to play on, kicks inside that forward 50 then. They've been winning in this situation, Geelong, so far. Darling knocks at Goldwood. Taylor does well. Vardy is going okay. The kick not so flash. Quittis running off to his right boot. Now he's got a problem. Well done, Joel Corey across the boot. It spills to Kerr, gives it to Embley. The two veterans combine. Long kick down towards full forward. Taylor doing brilliantly down there. Stops them again. Gives it across to Wattens. Not intended for him. Backing up down there in right. Kicks it towards the outer side. Podsy Adley at work that time. The deft deflection across to Varco.
But Varco has to take a back step. Now Bartel, searing kick but not good, cut off by Hearn. And Hearn to Glass and then back to Hearn. Now can the Cats press up, because they are finding it very difficult to get the ball forward. Kerr's kick was a careful one. Embley asked to play on to Selwood. So 3 of their premiership players, only 5 of them playing tonight from that 06 premiership team, all combining here. And Embley out wide takes the mark again. What a fine season he's having. Had a good one last year as well. So Embley at half-back, kicks the ball hard to Kennedy, worked underneath, Ottens didn't get away very hard, Pittis okay, Shuey, Kerr again.
Kerr tumbles a kick inside the forward 50, indecision. Nikoski and Swift both stepped aside, both gentlemen lost the football. Here's a chance for Nat Nui to make amends, though, storming into goal, and he misses. Oh, golden opportunity twice.
Just need to be a little bit cleaner when they've got the ball at the moment, West Coast. They're dominating time in their forward half, dominating time with the inside 50s, and just little things like that, just a little bit confused, a bit more composure when they've got the football.
Varco getting some space at the moment, goes across towards Ling under pressure, hassled out of it by Shuey, who's taken high, and he'll get the free kick. Luke Shuey.
Been a good goal kicker this year, kick 13-13. This is important for their morale. They're playing well, they're getting plenty of the footy. Just got to crack the Geelong defence and get a goal on the scoreboard.
So the margin is 10 points. Safe to assume Shuey on your boot wouldn't work here, because you would have heard it before.
You'd still try it though, wouldn't you, Dan?
I would, yes, but I'm a hand. He kicks from 40, and that's a beautiful kick. That's what they needed.
Those inside 50s give a good idea, don't they? 9 to the Eagles, only 4 to Geelong, but Geelong got a couple of goals from their time in forward half. That's a massive domination of field position. Sounds like another sport, doesn't it, when we say it like that?
Gee, they'll be relieved to get the ball back in the centre, the Cats, won't they? So the centre clearance breaks become just so important now.
I've been watching too much rugby league. They keep talking about field position.
You're talking like a Queenslander now, Lee. How long have you been up there?
Yeah, it was a good win by them, wasn't it?
So Cox and Ottens. Ottens gets over the top. Corey probably held on to, and then a good tackle. Clever by Smith. It eluded Cox, but to Embley. So Embley having an impact early. Kick to centre half forward. Just slipping there at the wrong time was Shuey. Back goes Ling. Taylor's had an excellent opening term. That's a good kick to Christensen, who debuted on this ground against the Dockers earlier this year. Daisy cutter, Gets to Enright, to Bartel. They open it up, the Cats here. Now Bartel, careful kick. Johnson was clever. Turns Schofield inside out. Stevie Johnson goes bang. And he kicks the goal.
That's a wonderful piece of forward play. It's really just knowing where the ball's going, and I think Jono just knew that the ball was probably going to go over his head. Just led his Eagles defender under the foot. He turned him. It's just really knowing. He just turned the quickest, didn't he? And just knows how to finish. He's a genius round goal.
Great work rate by Steve Johnson off the ball. He was probably just off camera just before that moment we see now. In fact, what we also saw was some terrific closing speed from Schofield. So if Schofield doesn't slip, then would have had a 50-50 contest. That's a matchup to look forward to for the rest of the game.
Just great efficiency, isn't it? 3 goals from only 5 inside 50 entries.
Sorry, mate.
You're right, Tim.
Taylor Hunt's got the football. Back to Tim in a moment. Duncan. Hunt. Out wide. Wojcinski wheels around. Looks inside the forward 50. Gets Nikoski in the air. Goes to Ling. Taylor Hunt. Now Chapman creates his own space. Goes from 55. Long down towards full forward. Hearn goes back aware of the fat bit. And as a result, spilt the mark. Across the line and behind. 3-1-1-2. Interesting. Steve Johnson so well held last week by young Hibberd and got away in the last few minutes. A couple of freakish goals. Hearn, a punishing kick in his own right to the outer side. Good mark taken by Schofield.
It was a good mark. As Tom said a minute ago, gee, his closing speed on Johnson was revealing. Kicks the ball down the line. Taylor at the back, Jacquer sharking beautifully,
over the
and
back.
then a lovely kick forward. Bartel coming in hard. Lacroix breaks the tackle. Ebert running hard. Little toe poke forward. Shuey, back he goes. Cox, left foot, rolling it, not quite. And the Cats again saving the day. Ling, but Hurry's gone. Naitanui got him.
Gee, that's great footy. Some real composure from Enright, and the chase from Naitanui was superb. Cameron Ling just in 2 minds at the last minute and brought down. That's terrific forward pressure, isn't it?
He hasn't got much acceleration, Cameron Ling, and Naitanui has. So it was a very bad pairing in terms of being chased down from behind.
And a telling statistic there, 5-zip inside 50 forward tackles. A genuine indicator to the coaching staff that your team's up and about.
Well, in horse racing, Big Red never got run down, but Lingy got run down there by Naitanui, and Naitanui, well, he's had a couple of tries. He is the most exotic footballer I think we've ever seen, and
he's had a couple of point-blank shots at goal. He's kicked behind, so bad misses.
He is such a presence, though, isn't he?
Such an athletic talent for a man of his size.
Chapman out of defence. Well, Potsy Adelaide claiming he was blocked coming to the football by McGinnity. Nothing doing. Cox took an easy mark. In rare form, Dean Cox back inside the forward 50. Geelong with a lot of confidence, not trying to spoil. They're trying to mark down there. Enright on Pritis took him down. Opportunity now for Hunt. Slips it away to Chapman. Wojcinski goes back. Menzel was taken late downfield for the Cats.
James Kelly, no! James Kelly.
Apparently not. Advantage seems to be back on the back burner tonight. There's Menzel after he'd released the ball. Darling collecting him. Got to be careful with Darling. Taekwondo is his go. He's got a black belt. Got it in his last year at high school. I would imagine he's advanced since then. On the outer side, Corey close to the boundary line, just lays it off. Bartel. Oh, here's a chance. Otten's not the quickest man. Hand passes to Stokes. He's lively. Comes across the ground to Johnson. Now it's one out inside the forward 50. Johnson doing a lot of instruction, then goes to Ling. Ling pushed off the kick, and the mark is taken by Potsy Adley. I don't believe it.
Great awareness from Steve Johnson. Just that ability not to blaze the ball to a one-on-one 50-50 contest summed up the situation and brought Cameron Ling into the game.
He was in the middle of 4 Eagles players, and he still found the gap between the 4 to lay it off to Ling.
I'm going to take one guess. There's got to be Italian blood in Steve Johnson's family. Very expressive with the hands as he came through half forward. There's the goal.
So a couple for Pods. And Johnson really constructing again.
Have a look at him in the middle of the... He's holding on to the footy until a Geelong player gets their teammate, gets there to support. That's terrific play. Sometimes you just got to hold on to it.
So the free to Cox against Ottens.
Play on!
So two of the outstanding big men over the last decade opposed to one another. Swift. But they've come very wide here, the Eagles, and the Cats get numbers back. And then the short kick in.
Need to be really precise with their kick. It was a good hit up before.
Selwood to Embley, to a one-on-one, well played by that Taekwondo man, Darling. In the top 30 draft picks from last year's draft, only Darling and Heppel have played every game so far.
Been really good. And he just held his ground then. You've got to be careful when you know the ball might be coming just a little bit over the opponent in front, just not to force him under the foot. You've got to be a little bit patient and just wait for it to get there.
He's been accurate this year in his first season. 10 goals for from set shots. And again, they miss. So the Eagles have had some chances. He misses the lot.
Because we've seen field position is clearly the Eagles, but forward efficiency is so far.
Prohibited contact. West Coast free kick. Nick Nat Nui. I'll leave it there. Free kick. Prohibited contact.
Selwood and Johnson it is.
Free kick to Nick Nat Nui. Prohibited contact. Said something about that.
Crowd are baffled. We may see in a moment, but Nick Nat gets the kick. Crowd realises that, and suddenly spontaneous applause breaks out, and as you'd expect, might be better suited from here. Runs around, pops it on the boot, and kicks the goal. Misses a couple of easy ones. Degree of difficulty there much greater.
Well, here's the infringement. Actually, Steve Johnson got a free kick when he did that last week against Hibbert.
Yeah, if it's high contact, you can understand it, but body-to-body contact like that, don't know whether that's a free kick. Don't think it is.
Soft as a. So 15 to 25. Nat Nui kicking an impressive goal in the end from that free kick. So Duncan coughed it up to Corey, and Prittis. Good tackle. It's interesting though, Lee, because Johnson sucked one in against Hibbert in a very important stage last week, and you just wonder if that had been noted, because he probably hit Hibbert as hard last week and then Hibbert came back. So he had a prior, I guess. Rosa gets a good one there, a lucky one. That's not a good kick going forward. Kennedy, no impact so far. Scarlett off one step. Cox will take it on his chest. So West Coast continuing to press here, out wide. And now Smith with a long, hard ball. Good-looking kick to Darling. Taylor at the back. And then Kelly runs the gauntlet. Scarlett back, not far. And Ebert's got it at half forward.
It's amazing how happy they are just to put it on the boot in the back 50, Geelong.
65 metres out. Ebert goes long down towards full forward. Swift almost knocked away at the last moment by Hunt. It's grabbed there by Darling, Russell, or Kennedy. Kennedy's got the goal.
Hasn't been able to get it in the air at the moment, Kennedy. The Geelong defence has been too good there, but a good ground level crumb and goal. Yeah, just can't work out. The Geelong defenders are just happy just to kick the ball out of the back 50. They're not holding onto the ball to try and create out of there at all.
So first disposal for Kennedy. Prittis got down low. Kerr down low as well. And then Smith, well done by Selwood. He sold a dummy to Varco. Kicks the ball forward. Hunt probably should have taken the mark. Lacroix, beautifully played. Nikoski misses again.
Got away with one there, Bruce. You hit the nail on the head. You know when a side's up and about and confident. Those intercept balls, you take them. Josh Hunt was able to get 2 fists to the ball and sport the ball away. A player like Lacroix, if you can get the ball out of the area, obviously by intercepting the ball, that's the best play. Got away with one there.
Gee, they've missed some, haven't they? They are pressing hard, though.
They're looking good. They're spreading beautifully around the middle. Now, free kick is going to the Cats. We saw John Worsfold's reaction to Nikoski's miss moments ago. He's won 3 out of 6 against Geelong here in Perth, but 4 out of 13 overall. Last time, well,
I'm not sure about that one.
Take that one back. Here's Taylor. Last time they beat the Cats was round 10 of 06. strange to related skills stadium. There goes the kick down towards half forward. The mark is taken by Glass. Hit the ground running. Comes away through midfield. The hand pass not so flash. Lacroix has to go back and find it. Did brilliantly and spots a man. Out wide. Prentice. 65 metres out. Slipped over Prentice. Taylor, Enright, Christensen. Christensen sends it up towards the wing. 3-on-1 out there. We've seen this a bit, but the one prevails. Well done by Vardy. Jams it on the boot. It's a race back inside the 50. Getting across with pace. McGinnity beats Corey. They combine in that back pocket. McGinnity eventually gets the release. It comes across to Glass. High ball towards the wing. Ling from behind. Falls in front. Lacroix tackled. Down he goes. Ling battles with him. And the umpire calls for it.
Terrific play by McGinnity there. He covered some serious ground to intercept the ball and then had the poise in the back pocket. This was Prentice slipping moments before to repel the ball for the West Coast Eagles.
So Varco, Prentice just holds him up. Ebert back turns and then has to release. Silly to say, you feel like Geelong's just hanging on a bit, don't you?
They are. No, they're just scoring from limited opportunities, which they've got the lead because of their forward 50 efficiency, but all else, other areas of the game, the Eagles are dominating.
So Nat Nui to Prentice, and then Rosa to McGinnity, and the run of Adam Selwood through the centre, and then looks up, good kick. Well done, Lonigan against Kennedy, and then Ling trying to chop it off. Kennedy, and now boundary throwing.
You mentioned the efficiency in Geelong's forward line, Lee. They've only had the 5 disposals inside their forward 50, and they've all been scoring shots.
Yeah, no, they've been good in there. 12 clearances to Eagles, 5 to Geelong, so that's one area of the ground the home team's dominating.
Well done by Lonigan there too, getting a fist in just in the nick of time. Ling, his 6th possession, sends it down towards half forward. Embley plays on, having taken the mark, comes across the ground. Now they can move it forward through Darling as he goes down towards half forward and Shuey. 70 metres out. They are lively, the West Coast Eagles. Confidence, a remarkable thing. Goes towards the pocket. Kennedy very conscious of Lonigan. Lurking behind Nicotti. Talk about make amends. How's that? Missed the centre moments ago. And like Nat Nui before him gets the hard one.
Just the strength also of Nikoski there to shove the tackle from Taylor Hunt and then put the ball across banana style. That gets the crowd going here, no doubt about that.
Katsu by as much as 16 points after Pod's second goal. Eagles have stormed back.
Prentice. No.
Back on the line, team. Back on the line.
The team that we've
on the line.
come to love for the beautiful game, Geelong are playing an ugly type of game tonight, aren't they?
Well, that's
just banging the ball.
They don't seem to be wanting to hold on to the ball and try and create. So much just about getting it out of the danger area, and it just keeps coming straight back.
So Schofield to Kerr. Kerr running the full measure and then down the line. Scarlett at the back of Darling. Getting down low. First he was Swift and then Scarlett looked like he got into the back and it'll be a ball up.
And just to highlight the dominance of the West Coast Eagles, the statistic down there, they dominate that particular statistic at Subiaco more than anywhere else, averages at 14 minutes in their forward half.
Nat Nui brilliantly done and then Kerr with a long strong one that hits the post.
Gee, though, he doesn't get that many of them, Natanu, but when he can get up and hit the ball into that clear space, the really long hit out, that's a really good one.
Great chemistry between the two of those. We've seen it in the past couple of months, I guess, and the ability of Kerr to get on the move away from the stoppage is super exciting.
Amazing turnaround by the Wooden Spooners then. Overall and in this game, Bartel, Varco, Corey, Varco out of defence, feeds it forward, well over the head of Enright. They're a little bit rattled at the moment. Lacroix finds a way through, he'll kick it.
That's a really uncharacteristic error there by Corey Enright. It was almost the case where Lacroix pulled him out of it, the old double bluff, but a few shaky errors in the back half at Geelong so far in this game. You just see it here, pop over the top and then the broken tackle also.
They tried to bring the ball back in the centre corridor, miss the handball. That's always going to cost you. But there isn't much shorty in that back 50, is there? That's the thing. Average over this first part of the quarter, the Geelong defence has been defending pretty well, but very hurriedly.
Such a great percentage player, Lacroix, isn't he? He can really take advantage of a situation. 16 of the last 20 inside 50s for the Eagles. It's domination here. And they're going to have so much momentum going into a quarter time, you would think. Ling, Christensen brought down in the tackle. Smith. And then Glass gets it from Embley and bouncing the ball out of play. What an impressive second half of an opening term this has been from the Eagles. They've been fast starters this year, but again, as they did against the Bombers last week, it was Geelong that got a very early start, only to be outplayed before quarter time.
Yeah, the good news for Geelong is they should be about 5 goals behind, and they're only 10 points behind.
Well, they're 5 scoring shots behind, aren't they?
That's it.
Nat Nui's done his bit with a sensational goal after a miss or two. Nikoski's goal probably the highlight of a brilliant opening term. Full house at Patterson Stadium. They're liking what they're seeing. It's the Eagles 35 to the Cats 25 on Friday Night Footy.
Quarter time, Patterson Stadium, Friday night football. Cold one in Perth, 5-5-35 to 4-1-25. Daniel Kerr has been terrific. 9 disposals and 4 inside 50s. A post to the boot, so he's been everywhere. But don't forget the performance too of Cox and Nat Nui. Plenty of ruck taps, a couple of beauties setting Kerr up. Cox 6 possessions, Nat Nui 5. Daniel Kerr has been, I suppose, right back in his best form in the last month or so, and tonight maybe the icing on the cake.
Really looked like his career was fading out, didn't he? He was injured all the time, but he's just been rejuvenated this year. He's had 4 clearances, 4 inside 50s. He's been terrific.
That's the one too, when you get Kerr bursting away from a clearance on the end of a Nat Nui or a Cox tap, is when he's at his absolute most dangerous.
Well, the big guys have killed them so far. Vardy did a lot of rucking in that second term, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and I think they've actually been beaten away from the stoppage. The spread of Nat Nui and Cox in the midfield has been fantastic.
And speaking of number 4s, as we were, Daniel Kerr, here's another champion who wore that number. Peter Sumich with Tim Watson.
Well, Super, that's an impressive start.
Yeah, it was. They pushed a lot of numbers back inside our 50 early, and it was a bit scrappy, but we got a lot of our goals, of course, off the ground.
You'd be happy with the pressure that you're applying to them, though?
Yeah, we are, but they got a couple of easy goals out the back, so we just got to watch that. But our pressure's been terrific up forward.
And Nat Nui's been really impressive up forward too.
Yeah, look, he's tackling pressure and he's cat-like up there, so hopefully he can continue that on and pinch a goal for us.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
To say, not what I expected after Geelong kicked the first 2 goals, Tom.
No, I think, and to hear Peter Sumich talk about the pressure, particularly inside their forward 50, it's 6-zip. And the ball has been spent, obviously, the majority of the time inside the Eagles' forward 50. But their intensity when they've dominated the play so much would be the really pleasing thing for the West Coast Eagles coaching staff.
Jimmy Bartell, 6 possessions, but maybe it's just me. I expect so much from him, but he doesn't look as sharp as when he's at his best.
We've got Kelly and Varco in the centre square. They've got to start getting the ball around the clearances, Geelong, if they're to get back in the game.
Umpire Donlan, who's been sending it a long way. The umpire backs off, it's still not down. He's travelled about 15 metres. You saw Cox, a little practice jump, like a practice swing in golf, and we'll have another bounce.
What Geelong need to be really mindful of is Cox's ability to spread away from the stoppage. Brad Ottens went after the ball on hands and knees. Cox went forward. Need to be mindful of that.
Cox has been very good that time. Ottens beat him. It's built behind. Varco tries to soccer it forward. Wojcinski bounces around nicely, pushes aside an opponent there, gives it eventually to a teammate who kicked it down towards half forward, but eventually it's the West Coast Eagles who bring it out, and it comes to Kennedy. Kennedy just forward of the wing. Got it from Embley.
Had a quiet opening turn, but kicked a really important goal, Kennedy. And that high ball, Nat Nui the target, worked underneath by Lonigan. Taylor takes a good mark. So the Cats really having to hold their nerve. Taylor's backtrack, the wrong way for him. It's not 15. Gee, Lonigan was lucky, got away from Nat Nui. I don't think Nick knew what was going on for the moment. And then Hunt with a very dangerous kick, cut off. by a bloke who can kick a goal even though he plays down back. Well, that was really stretching it by Hunt. I mean, he's looked up, he's gone bang. Had to be a good mark.
Yes, really, Johnson had to be actually heading to the boundary line to give him an outside player to kick to. Back in the middle, intercept, shot at goal.
So Smith, who kicked 2 goals against Carlton last fortnight in their last match, gets the goal, and West Coast dominating now.
Here's a player on screen that they'd love to have in the middle of the ground. I think Geelong need to get some speed through the middle of the ground. Travis Varco starts there now, but sorely missing Joel Selwood.
Margin 16 points. We're back in the middle. Cox with the run, knocks it down. Prittis gave it back to Cox, who missed the footy. Kelly ricochets around in there. Scott Selwood dragged down by Kelly, and we'll have a ball up. Now, the last 7 scoring shots in the game, 5 goals, 2 to the West Coast Eagles. And interesting too with Hunt and that kick coming out. We made the point they were just kicking in hope. Geelong bringing it out of defence, so maybe as a response to his coach's pleading, he decided to look for somebody, but the kick didn't find a teammate. Podsiadly got hands to that one, didn't complete the mark. Hearn runs away from him to Embley, who was very busy in the opening quarter. Embley at right half back. Wants to chance his arm, goes directly across the ground, and the spread is on. McKenzie's got it. Wide is still not a good kick. McGinnity out-positioned because of that kick by Wojcinski, but McGinnity stayed on his feet, gave it to Rosa. Little short one comes into Prittis.
And Prittis round the corner to Cox. Gee, that was poor play by Wojcinski a moment ago. And he really made a mistake there. Cox long, Darling, yep. And play on, and they'll get another one. Mikulski's got 2. It's raining goals for the Eagles.
Well, Darling's just been a wonderful first-year player. He attacks the ball really hard. Just see him in the air here. He's got great awareness too for a young player. Quickly gets the ball onto Mikulski. But the real difference in the two sides in the early part of this game is how quickly the West Coast Eagles are able to actually slingshot the ball back out of Geelong's forward line.
Cox wins it decisively, at least directionally. Taken by Wojcinski, back to Enright. Enright hasn't got a lot of the football so far. Towards half forward, Duncan goes back after it, shows courage, lays it off to Ling. Ling inside the forward 50. Podsiadly did well, he was outnumbered, came, found the football on the ground, goes back to Duncan, running out of space. Barely kept it in. Smith to Hearn. Hearn tried to thread it through to Prittis. It came to Ling. It was smothered off the boot. Prittis did brilliantly. It comes across to Embley from Fox to the wing now. And Swift has got it at the interchange gates. Swift looking down towards half forward. Plenty of Geelong players falling back. Kennedy, I think, blinded by the light. Right on the boundary line, just escorted across.
Just the intensity the Eagles are playing at the moment. This is probably typifies it, just didn't quite make the contact there.
But lucky he didn't make contact.
Very lucky. But their energy at the contest from the Eagles at the moment is just outstanding.
So the free kick. So again, against Otten, so Scott Selwood looked up. I think he thought he might have given it away. Gee whiz, I mean, okay, long ball by Hearn to full forward. Hunt belted it away. The other Hunt ridden into the ground, and then Enright caught up. Honestly, if that's a free kick in the ruck, I'll go here. Anyway, it's a bounce about 15 metres out.
But just watch I agree with you on that one, Bruce, but then you watch the ball get inside their forward 50 and just the swarm of Eagles. 9-zip now, the inside 50 tackles, quite outstanding.
Otten's a good tap, and then Hunt belts it away. Gee, but was brave. Duncan held up. McGinnity belts the ball back. Lacroix takes off and marks it. Geelong's fallen apart before our very eyes in the last 20 minutes.
You don't have to be told to be a go-to player. You just got to be a player who realises when the ball's in the air and I can mark it, then I go for it. Lacroix is exactly that. They're prepared to drive the ball in long and deep, test the Geelong defence. But the Eagles forwards in there are just finding their way to the footy.
Ebert's been the sub the last 3 weeks. He won't be for a while. The way he went down low then, that was just fantastic. And Lacroix kicks his second. And the Eagles have doubled the score. They've bolted away.
We heard Lee Matthews talk about Mark Lacra's ability to attract the ball. I played on him often as a defender. He's one of those players who can play tall and small, and if he gets a player who can't defend the mark, he'll exploit you every time.
Gibson 27 goals for this season now. He batted 63 last year on his way to becoming an All-Australian. Priddis digs it out of the middle. Lacra tracks it towards the boundary line. Hunt goes after him, and it goes out. He started his career wearing number 19, Mark Lacra, but now looks very comfortable wearing Dean Kemp's old number 2. Tossed in just outside the attacking 50 for the Eagles. Stolen away by Kelly to Ling, who's trying hard. Goes towards half forward. Ill-directed. Adam Selwood takes the mark to Hearn. He's a master of the long kick. Takes something off this one. Down towards half forward, trying to pinpoint the ball. It was intended for Swift, who had to wait. It was not a bad kick. There was no margin for error out boundary side. Coming over the top, though, Taylor got a fist on it. Knocked it out of bounds.
Certainly been the most...
One, come in and bump him. Stay there, Dane, stay there.
Well, it's going to be a free kick. Not sure what the explanation was, but Johnson finishes up with a footy.
Glass it was.
Steve Johnson has a low threshold to pushage as the ball goes towards the outer side. Coming through Wojcinski, tackled brilliantly by Kennedy, ripped away the football. As a result, it goes across to Swift, well won. Selwood too slow, Lucky still has the footy, then appeared to throw it. Johnson did well. Ling inside the centre circles, goes down towards half forward. Bartel, wonderful courage. Well, with finesse, if you don't mind, he pulled the kick, Hearn. Gives it across towards Smith. Smith up towards the wing. In front, Lacra on his way to the interchange bench. And Scarlett gets an angry fist on that one.
7 goals, 2-0 in the last 23 minutes of the match. Got to go back to the prelim final with Collingwood last year. I mean, it has happened so rarely to the Cats over the last 4 seasons. Naitanui brilliantly done. Swift, and now Naitanui runs all over the top of him. And then he has to get the footy back. He lost his GPS.
He's got it now. He just has the ball.
You have to be careful there, Naitanui. He may rue that running all over the top of Hunt. Speaking of Hunts, that's the other one. That kick to Duncan. Needs courage here. Running hard. Left foot. Can he finish? It's a behind. Geelong score for the first time in about 25 minutes.
Bruce, I just want to go back to that. You see Naitanui here running into Swift.
1-2 he wasn't expecting.
Just going back to that preliminary final, there's a real Collingwood feel about the way West Coast are playing at the moment. It's just that ferocious attack on the ball and the structural squeeze that they've become renowned for this year.
Shuey out of defence. Priddis getting a lot of the football again. What's new? Gives it across to Kerr. He shows a lot of the ball to Lonigan, but Ebert did well again. What a 50-50 ball at worst. Hand passes across towards Nikoski. Nikoski, the long ball inside the forward 50. 2 Cats there. Not exposed for them tonight. They'll need them both. Enright over the top. Hunt running out of space along the boundary line. Taken by Taylor. Well inventive. Gives it to Ling. Ling inside. Lonigan gone. Front and back taken high. Wow. Just dodged a bullet. Didn't dodge the whack.
Well, he milked the Ebert one up the front, didn't he? But fraction high. So Lonigan, Naitanui in the frame. Vardy at the back. Corey roved it well. Kicks the ball forward. West Coast will get the numbers back. Johnson, the little give, but straight away to McKenzie, to Kerr, who had a spectacular opening. Quite a well done, Kerr. Looked up, found Schofield. Schofield tucks it under his arm. Runs his full measure. Lovely kick, look at that. Beautiful. To Nikoski. Now Nikoski all on his own. Across the ground is Swift. And Swift goes in and kicks another one. How good is this?
Just an absolute weight of numbers from West Coast. The build-up started when the ball went into Geelong's forward 50, and it was 3-on-1 to Steve Johnson. Repelled the ball, and it looks like there are more Eagles out there. Just it's ferocious.
They're just covering the ground, aren't they? Just getting there to support teammates, to pressure the opposition.
Rucks go at it. Naitanui hung in the air, got it down to Priddis again. Immediately tackled and taken down, and the umpire will ball it
Straight up.
Interesting, a lot has been made of the press and the West Coast Eagles employing that, but they were the worst kicking side in the competition by a huge margin last year. And And suddenly this season they're kicking like Bruce Lee and they haven't looked back. The ball goes out wide, taken by Embley. Embley towards the attacking 50. Kennedy got into his power move as he got to the football. Well played. Comes back on the left boot. Eben in front. This is embarrassing now for the Cats. The trendsetters are wobbling at the knees and about to go down.
You mentioned disposal efficiency, Dennis. That was the thing that I think won the game for Essendon last week. They worked well. They had great work rate, but kicked the ball well, and the Eagles doing the same tonight.
Brad Eben misses. No easy kick that one. Sliding it across the face. 60 plays 26, midway through the second term on a Friday night in Perth.
You mentioned that Collingwood game was 85-23 at half-time in that prelim final. And Geelong were helpless that night, and you feel like they are right now. Long kick by Hunt. Ling has tried hard, bouncing the ball forward. Glass got a dodgy bounce. McKenzie so impressive in his comeback game last week. McGinnity, well, that was a poor handball to Selwood. Vardy to Kelly. Can he break the tackle and get a handball? He does. Well, Christensen left before the footy got to him. Duncan looks up. Good smother. All happening for the Eagles. Boundary throw-in.
We've seen that hard work from the Eagles all night, but just to pick up Dennis's point, it's just been buzzed in my ear that they're running at 84% their disposal efficiency right now, the West Coast Eagles, which is quite outstanding.
Well, if someone had told you that a year ago they were capable of doing that, they would have put you in the straitjacket.
Who were those imposters?
They lost 50 games in the last 3 seasons, as many as Melbourne. No other team lost as many games as West Coast in 08, 09 and 10.
Same jumper, different performance.
It's extraordinary. It's one of the great mysteries, I think, of the last 50 years of VFL/AFL footy. And may it continue. We're loving it. There's the kick by Menzel from Chapman. Good effort at the back by McKenzie. And then Selwood running it out. Boundary throw-in. Did anybody have West Coast out of the bottom 4 at the start of the year?
Yeah, I thought they were one of the 2 or 3 teams that couldn't play finals. So we've certainly a long way from that.
I think I had them a bit higher, actually, but
we just ripped them up now.
Only
we're just trying to ignore them.
I had them higher because of geography. I live here. Prentice, hand pass to Embley. Embley sends the ball up towards the wing. Taylor has to wait. Well done, Ebert came hard. Darling, was he taken high? Apparently not. Spills to Menzel. He wanted too much time as well, and he threw the football. They can't take a trick. Ebert, deserving of a kick. He ran hard to make sure he got to the contest and just got the ball out of there. Kicks it along the wing. In front, Nat Nui. Prentice, brilliantly done. Just waiting, camped in front to Darling, pushed as he kicked, and this one goes out of bounds. So Prentice is really rolling. Once he had 11 possessions, I venture to say most in this term.
Geelong through Ling and Chapman, and now Taylor Hunt. That's a poor kick. Hearn to cut it off. Varco to pressure. Back to McGinnity. And then McGinnity back to Hearn. And then Hearn looks up, controls the leg and finds Shuey.
I reckon that passage of play sums up the difference between the Eagles this year and last year. I would hazard a guess in that exact same situation, they just would have bombed the ball in. But the composure to lower the eyes. Just see the use here. Great work by McGinnity to fill the space defensively. And then follow up and just drop the eyes. Hearn it is actually.
McGinnity involved earlier. So Shuey kicked a lovely goal from about this distance at angle, didn't he, in the opening term?
Got the one that got them started when they were struggling to get on the board.
Let's see if he can do it again. What did you say, Shuey, on your boot? Wow.
Shoe in.
That's it.
Just seeing Cox there on screen. The Eagles ruckmen are now controlling this game here, Nat Nui. So confident too now are the Eagles midfielders that they're now moving into attacking positions and just confidently anticipating where the ball's going to go.
Cox wins another one, just laying it down. Bartel read it best though. Hand passes to Chapman. Back it comes to Ling. Breaks away from centre field. Goes down towards half forward. Christensen had the arms chopped. Will take the free kick. So the last 14 inside 50s for the West Coast Eagles have yielded 9 goals, 3. Christensen goes across the ground. Nice kick. Taylor Hunt comes up and marks it. Man on the mark is right on the 50. Hunt takes something off it. It's going to fall in short. Bartel came at it, pitched in front of him, bounced past him. Plenty of Eagles around the football. Embley's got it, tries to dig it out of there. Well, that was the option play. Went with the fist initially, then kicked it. It bounces outside the 50, close to the boundary line, and trickles out. Like an obedient dog, will have a throw in.
Ottens and Cox, 50-50. Prittis so good in the clearances, hard ball stuff. Kerr the same. And that time, well, again, that football working well. Refused to go out. Kerr, who we'll hear from at half-time, he does a one-on-one with Nick Natanui. Looking forward to that.
Damning statistic on both sides of that shows West Coast's willingness to work away, but also Geelong's inability to mark the ball and defend the ball.
So Cox goes to ground, Ottens over the top, and another ball up. 9 consecutive goals to the Eagles. It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
And we see the top of screen there. The Eagles have got Hearn as that spare man back in their back 50. So a good setup here. You can't find the Geelong spare, and you can clearly see the Eagles spare.
Corey was the third man up. Scott Selwood's handball slow, but Emily rode the tackle. He knew it was coming. Back towards Selwood. Now Christensen.
Just jams it across to Joel Corey. So many of the trump cards for Geelong, very quiet tonight. Ling's not one of them. Got it from Ottens, kicks inside the forward 50 and going back Bartel. Saw Chapman in the play moments ago. Realised we haven't called his name much in the second term. Jimmy Bartel will line up from about 30 metres out. They're down by 40. Approaching half-time. Having said that, the scoreboard flatters them. This has been a mismatch. Bartel, kick is on the way. Lovely kick by the Brownlow medalist. Puts it through.
Ling has been good.
Just got caught under the ball here, Smith. He just had to try and back that little bit harder, but Bartel knew exactly what he's doing. Just held his line, stopped him coming back.
Here's the forearm. So 34 minutes since the Geelong goal, and they bring the margin back coincidentally to 34 points. Selwood rode the tackle. Kelly gets the ball out quickly to a one-on-one. Ottens couldn't quite. Now Mackenzie, Podgiati had a fair bit of the jumper by the look of it. Well played, Glass. Hearn. Bartel gets him down, and it'll be ball.
Going with the two tall forwards in that particular setup. Otten starting deep forward and Podgiati, so at least giving themselves an opportunity to have a target to kick to, and a good follow-up there by Jimmy Bartel.
So Otten's at the back of Cox, and then Chapman goes to ground, and Selwood wants the boundary. Kelly, well, he was almost out, and then impossible almost to keep it in. Kicks the ball out on the full.
When Kelly kicked it, a few of the West Coast Eagles were appealing for out of bounds where Kelly kicked it from, but quickly withdrew their appeals. Just across the boundary line, further afield, but gave West Coast the ball back, and Hearn drives it outside the defensive 50. Lonigan launches himself from behind and fists it out of bounds.
Since Geelong average 11 goals against, well, it's 10 before half-time. Eston kicked 18 last week against him, so they've had a bad game and a half in terms of conceding scores.
What they need, the Cats, is the next 2 goals. Just get things back to a manageable situation. As crazy as it sounds, that would make the margin 22 points. And not all would be lost. So the next 5.5 minutes, absolutely vital as far as Geelong are concerned. The rival coaches on the left, the face of vindication, John Worsfold. Cox got a hand to it. Lunging in there, Ottens to Bartel. Bartel hooks it around the corner. Lunging at the ball. Well, that was Ottens. Who was it further afield? It must have been Vardy. Meantime, this is Joel Corey around the corner. Intercepted Prittis' hand pass. Johnson, the beneficiary, hooks it down towards full forward. It bounces out of bounds.
It's right about that extra goal or two, because one thing Geelong would have a great belief in themselves that despite being behind, they can keep fighting and pick up a margin.
Well, it's where they want it at the moment. Deep in their forward 50. Corey had it smothered by Glass. Well played. and then Embley able to clear it to Kerr. Nat Nui might be on here. This could be really exciting. Nat Nui and Lonergan about 50 metres from here. The kick to Lonergan's advantage. Nat Nui did pretty well. Lonergan played it well. Good give. Duncan had to take it cleanly. He knew the posse was coming, and Nat Nui was at the head of the posse. And now it's a ball up.
Mitch Duncan really let Tom Lonergan down there. He made the play, fantastic play by the big defender to cut off the intercept to Nat Nui, follow-up, gave the handball to Duncan, just needed to be cleaner.
So West Coast get it out of that 50, and then Nat Nui, that clearing thump over the back. Ebert's had a terrific opening turn, and then hard Kelly on Kerr and a boundary throw in.
We just saw the best of Nat Nui, that ability to jump, punch the ball clear into space. When really he had to, when Kerr had the foot, he had to actually give him a better lead, but he just didn't really know where to go to get to the right spot.
Vardy taps it down. Corey. Stokes over the shoulder. Taylor in trouble. Johnson. Christensen comes and meets the footy, immediately claimed by Kerr. And we'll have a ball up.
Great experience play there by Daniel Kerr. He knew he wasn't going to influence the contest by getting it, so he just took half a step back, waited for Christensen to get the ball and lock it in with a strong tackle.
Just get the feeling Geelong lifting a little. Christensen finds a way through. Stokes, Kelly takes a while into the path of Varco. Two speedsters here for the Cats, certainly. Varco, Wojcinski back to Varco. He's about 80 metres from goal. Chapman needs to go. There's some holding, and a free kick is going to Ottens.
You're holding him, Eric.
Wasn't it amazing? A bit of size on the forward line, and suddenly defenders get a little nervous.
Yes, he's a big man, isn't he, Ottens? The last 2 or 3 times the ball's gone in there, you can see the Eagles defenders are really grappling to try and make sure he can't force his way to the footy. So it was only a matter of time, I think, before an umpire found one of those holes forward of the footy.
We talked about 2 before half-time. Well, here's a big chance. Ottens comes in, straight through the middle.
Well, after 9 West Coast goals in 28 minutes, the Cats have just been able to slow them down and kick a couple themselves. So Otten's important there in the forward 50.
Lock with the arm out. Don't cross the line. Have your arm out.
And now back in the centre, giving away a free kick to Nat Nui.
They've looked dangerous, I thought, with Ottens in the forward line. I wonder if Vardy can do much more of the ruck work in there.
Lonergan pushed out, Scarlett held up, and then Kennedy over the back. Prittis, well played, fetching the footy and trying to get it out.
I mean, you would think that both Cox and Nat Nui, they just look like they're out rucking. Ottens, you wonder whether just to use Vardy as a little bit of a tagging type ruckman and use Ottens' bulk up forward in the majority.
So Ottens just probably wins that, laying it down. Johnson getting over the top. Hard ball to be won. Eagles with their hands on it. Then Josh Hunt gets hold of it. And again a ball up. So critical the last 3 minutes. A goal either way makes a huge difference to this match.
Ottens has given away 4 free kicks too. He likes to body up. That's his go right there. That's his natural habitat. Don't give them a run. It comes out wide of the pack, taken by Rosa. Just gives it off to Smith, to Schofield. Schofield back inside the forward 50. 4 plays 2. One of the 4 won it down. It was Taylor. Hunt intercepted by Nat Nui. Ebert is through. Ebert goes with the outside of the boot. That is a knee trembler. Gee, that hurts.
Long and
Just went straight to him.
you can't really explain how that can happen.
And natural left footer too. He could have come to our side, Hunt. I mean, it was the natural play.
As soon as you head back inside and then hand pass to the opponent, well, you're in trouble then.
I reckon Ebert deserved that goal. He's had a fantastic first half. So the Cats, all that hard work at 10 minutes of graft by them counts for not so much right now.
Well, John Worsfold said in that pre-game interview with Tim that they were going to play Ebert a fair bit in the forward line because they think he can mark the footy. And he has been an unusual forward, but he keeps jumping at the footy, making a contest.
So Embley, good tackle, Ling.
In the back.
Well, not good tackle.
Andrew Embley, landed right his back, Cameron.
Heard the umpire's call. Lingy certainly has tried to lead from the front of this first half. Kick to half forward, Enright getting back. He would have hurt himself. High tackle by Kelly.
High tackle, straight up, James. James, let him have the footy.
They're the two top tacklers in the AFL together right now. Selwood number 1 and Kelly equal to with Jude Bolton. In terms of the averages, lays it off. LeCras bombs the ball. Cox gets set, can't quite. Josh Hunt got hold of it, and I think he got nervous. And it'll be a ball up. Being a bit facetious there.
I think you're right. Josh Hunt's given a couple away tonight. I reckon he might be a bit nervous with ball in hands.
At 47 to half-time. Right into the path of Natanui, swung a boot at it, missed. Pushed across the line by Lonigan.
Every defender's been in that situation when you've had one of those nights where you touch the ball and now he's got it obviously here. Take the safe one wide, but horrible place, particularly interstate at a ground like Patterson Stadium.
Scarlett coming up for his 5th possession. Sends it outside the defensive 50. Getting up, slapping it forward at the second attempt there was Schofield. Kerr has it. He's claimed. Another ball up then. What a half by the West Coast Eagles. Up by 35. Natanui in the back of Ottens.
Push out, Brad Otters. Let him go,
pretty
35
close.
metres. Away.
Ottens to Johnson. Oh, Johnson with nothing to go to really except a couple of Eagles. Bounces it to Schofield. Smith. McGinnity, 75 metres out, long down towards full forward. Cox surrounded. Taylor got a fist on it. Enright goes back under pressure. Gives a hand pass off. Advantage is played. Wojcinski around the outer side. Varco. Well done by Varco. Hand passes forward again. Ling back to Wojcinski, who initiated the chain. One bounce. Runs the wing. Loops the hand pass over the top. Hitting it is Johnson. Moments ago had it across half back. Wojcinski has it. This deserves a goal. It won't get one.
Tight legs.
Yeah, well,
Right on the way out here.
with good reason. Glass to Kerr. A couple of the veterans combined.
The Eagles maybe to hurt on the counter-attack. Embley to Ebert. He's got options here. Can he get it long enough in? He decides to go short. Darling. Again, there's options forward. Darling winds it up. Goes with a long one. Cox the target. Free kick. A lot of all Australians there together, weren't they, with Cox and Scarlett wrapping one another up. What a half of footy we've seen. For a half an hour, they were irresistible from halfway through that first quarter to halfway through the second. Geelong kicked a couple, but it was all slow motion compared with the Eagles. Half-time at Patterson Stadium on Friday Night Footy. It's West Coast 73 to Geelong 38. Well, we didn't see it coming. They kicked 4 of the first 5 goals. The Cats, admittedly, they didn't have much inside 50, and then West Coast kicked 9 unanswered goals, and they've set up what could be a match-winning lead at half-time.
No, they've been magnificent, the Eagles. Yeah, they got the first 4 goals, or their first 4 goals, Geelong, from not many entries, but the Eagles were dominating the play. Then eventually, that first half of the second quarter, they just dominated and then got the score on the board.
Joel Selwood there, he'll be talking to Tom Harley shortly. They would love to have him out, that is for sure. Just the clearances, their ability to spread the Eagles has been just so impressive, hasn't it?
Well, that's the thing that's impressed me the most tonight. You know that they've got some good clearance players. Kerr's really good. But when they do get the ball, there's congestion and then they're off. They've done that really well. They've left Geelong behind. I mean, that helps enormously when you've got a really good runner in the ruckman, or 2 in fact, Cox and Natanui. They just keep getting players into space, but some really decisive clearances that really just become attacking thrusts very quickly.
Lee, is that pace, form or system, or a bit of both?
I think it's partly because they are, from the ruck contest, often able to get the ball into space. And as I say, when they've got 2 really good, mobile, big ruckmen, that helps their midfield enormously.
And again, a really good spread of goal kickers. I mean, Kennedy's chipped in, Lacrosse chipped in certainly, but a good spread.
Well, about 8 individual goal kickers out of their 11 goals, and Shuey, I think, got their first goal. He's kicked a couple of really good long-range shots. They were a bit sloppy early, then all of us, but 11 goals in a half of football against Geelong. I mean, that's really good forward power.
That's the second highest score kicked against Geelong in the first half, Lee, since round 5, 2007.
Well, the ball's been in that part of the ground for the majority, let's face it, but the Eagles forwards, there's a lot of them, a lot of goal scorers, potential goal scorers, and they're all joining in tonight. Whenever you can get anywhere near 10 goal scorers in a game, you know you're doing okay. They've got 8 to half time.
That was Kennedy's first touch for the night and ended up with a goal. Well, 2 of the stars in the midfield tonight have been Daniel Kerr and Nick Natanui. They went one-on-one during the week.
Still gets it inside the forward 50, and Natanui. The braids were flying everywhere.
Was there any footballs on the roof at Etihad Stadium?
No, it wasn't that high, Kerry. I don't really remember too much of it. Jack Darling came off the worst out of most of us. I landed on my face as well, which wasn't good, but I think Jack might have a bit of a sore neck because he got squashed.
The things you do on the football field showing off, you're quite shy in person.
I don't show off, mate. It's just how I play.
Do you consider yourself shy?
Just a normal bloke.
It's a normal...
He gets the good bounce. Can he go all the way? Nick Natanui loads up and kicks an incredible goal.
What do you find the hardest thing about being an AFL footballer?
Probably your private life. As you know, going through your premiership and coming close to the Brownlow as well, and all your success. I just find it hard to hide in Perth, pretty much. Whether it be going to the shops or doing everyday things that some of the other guys who are my age do. Even the young guys on our side can go out on the weekend and not get noticed, but they kind of stand out a little bit. So,
talk us through your relationship with Coxie. You two are very close, and he seems to teach you a lot of things.
I've had the unique opportunity to work with someone like that straight away, and I've been pretty blessed because I learn from the best ruckman in the competition at the moment, and show me pretty much everything that a ruckman needs to know. And
you think you'll ever cut your hair?
Don't put me in the spot like that. No, yeah. I think once it starts annoying me too much, I'll cut it off. But at the moment, it's probably not looking the best, but it's keeping me warm these winter months while you guys are complaining and wearing beanies at training, which is stupid. I've got my own beanie up here, and it's doing the job.
You had a terrible tragedy this year with one of your best friends, Luke Adams, getting hit in Northbridge. How have you dealt with that, and how's Luke going?
Yeah, it's been pretty tough the last few months. He was pretty critical at one stage, and never looked like making it. But everyone's stood pretty tall together and stayed strong. And it's been a miracle how far he's come. I went and saw him yesterday, and he's talking and he's walking to the toilet. So it's amazing. From the day after it happened, you see him in ICU, and he's not moving, not breathing, and he's on all these pipes through him and stuff. It's not the best look, but to see him now is just like he's got life again, and it's not only made him happy, but everyone around him as well. And it's been a pretty remarkable story, and just kind of proud that he's pulled through it and he's doing so well.
Yes, the young Swan District ruckman making a remarkable recovery, Luke Adams, and that foundation to promote anti-violence in the community. So what a great story it's turned out to be. Daniel Kerr there with Nick Natanui, Luke's great friend. So half-time here, and the Eagles going really well. They lead by 35 points, and the Cats are struggling. Joel Selwood, last match on suspension. He'll be back next week. He's with Tom Harley as we go down to the ground.
Yeah, thanks very much, Bruce. I'm down here at ground level with suspended Cat star Joel Selwood. Well, what about that, mate? The first half, how'd you see it?
Yeah, it's pretty tough to watch, I must say. But look, they've played really good footy, and we just haven't adapted to what they're doing just yet.
What's been the number one thing you think the West Coast have got over Geelong at the moment?
I mean, their good players are playing really well, and they're just moving the ball. They seem to have the ball a lot of the time, and I mean, their squeeze is unbelievable. We knew that before coming into tonight, but yeah.
And two of the players from the Eagles, I guess, who squeeze exceptionally well are your brothers. Adam's playing on Steve Johnson, doing a really good job, and Scott as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting watching the family run around, but makes it a little bit harder when they're on the other side. So I'll just make sure, hopefully our boys can get the job done. We're pretty confident that we've been behind like this before and can get over the line.
Now, Joe, you're sitting up in the coach's box with Chris Scott and the rest of the coaches. What's the feel up there at the moment?
It's pretty calm. I mean, we've been in this position, as I said, a couple of times this year. It's not a position that you want to be in, but as a playing group, we've played a lot of footy together. So our experienced guys aren't going that well at the moment. We need them to improve.
And what about the forward structure? Happy with that?
Yeah, I mean, it needs improvement. We've got Podsy that hasn't done a lot yet, and the guys around him, we need to just work a little bit harder. But in saying that, we haven't had the ball down there a lot too.
Well, good luck for the second half. You'll be back next Sunday against the Brisbane Lions, and I think all supporters will be looking forward to that, Bruce.
No doubt about that, Tom. Good to hear from Joel.
Not the Lions once.
No, speaking of the coach, Lee, they're the masters of the close finish and the big finish, Geelong. You give them any hope?
Well, they have always got a chance because they've got such fantastic great self-belief that they'll keep going even when they look like they're out of the game. And this is a significant margin, again, when they're the visiting team. But I don't think you can ever write Geelong off until they're a long way behind later in the game than half-time.
We're going to find out in the second half here on Friday Night Football. Time now for 7 plays.
Friday Night Football back at Patterson Stadium in Perth. Just in time for the West Coast Eagles to get back on the ground, closely followed by Geelong. Geelong with the job in front of them. They're down by 35 points, 11-7 to 6-2. The margin was 10 points. At quarter time, 5-5 to 4-1 after Geelong booted the opening 2 goals. Chris Scott with a lot on his plate. Here's Tim Watson with the Geelong coach.
Well, Chris, how would you summarise that first half?
Terrible. One word.
What did you speak to the players about at half-time? What is it that you want them to do in this second half?
Oh, well, the main thing is we've got to get the ball forward more. So we talked about a few mechanisms to try to make that happen, but if the ball lives in the West Coast forward half, it's going to be very hard for us.
And you didn't really build any momentum in that first half either. Was that one of the real problems? You weren't able to actually get any momentum going?
Yeah, love to build some momentum, but the question is how. So we think we've addressed a few things that'll arrest that, but the main thing is we've got to get in there and win a few more contests because they're beating us around the ball at the moment.
And their spread's been good too.
Oh, they've been good in every area. Yeah, not taking anything away from them, but it's a half a footy to go and our guys don't give up, so they'll come back.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tim.
So we wait with bated breath to see what it is they do. Would you expect them to go one-on-one in their forward line, Tom?
Look, I think so. I think players like Embley started there, and obviously Hearn's the other one who's given the West Coast Eagles so much drive. So when you're in situations like this, as Chris Scott mentioned before, you've just got to start winning the footy, and the best way to do that is one-on-one if you can. So expect to see. He does have enormous faith in his players and their ability to play the game out.
Going back to the start of the game, Tom, here we see Cameron Lynn trying to G them up. The start of the game when Scarlett, who's the one they'd like to be spare in defence, went to the Kennedy matchup. Now, that might have been to stop him being sort of defensively tagged, but you sort of wonder whether Hearn seems to be clear all the time in defence for the Eagles, but the Geelongers can't get anyone of an attacking influence to spare up their end.
And then what happens on top of that, Lee, is you spend so much energy trying to orchestrate that loose man, as we see on the mega wall here. Daniel Kurz, we've spoken about him all first half, and Mark LeCras is the player who probably is the West Coast weapon to counteract that loose man for defence because he is so dangerous.
And for Geelong, they need to get Johnson into the game, and Chapman, for instance, they've been okay, but they need... They're the kind of players that have to lift enormously for Geelong to lift a lot.
The interesting stat about Paul Chapman, he's had the 9 disposals but only 2 kicks, and he's one player when he does exert himself on the game, kicks the ball certainly more than he hand passes.
Andrew Embley, the veteran, has the game high 20 possessions to half-time. His career high 37 against Melbourne, round 20 of 08. Second half, Friday Night Football. Can Geelong get out of the deep hole? We're about to find out. Well, Nat Nui judged the bounce brilliantly. First hand to it. Prittis again out of the middle. Dropped by Kennedy. Bad miss. Taylor dragged down by Kennedy. Hand passes forward. Taken by Duncan. Goes back to half-back, and Kelly. Rose a brilliant tackle. Just watched the body. Ignored the football. Laid the tackle and wins the prize. Matt Rosa, right half forward, kicks with a searching kick inside the forward 50. Big leap down there, no mark taken by Cox. It falls forward. Duncan under pressure, handballed in hope. Well, it bounced okay, eventually got through to Joel Corey. Goes out wide, Menzel, quiet night so far, only his 4th possession. Escorted across the line by Schofield.
The first really deep inside forward 50 was directed to Dean Cox, who's playing deep, and Scarlett's his direct opponent.
Which means that Nat Nui started in the ruck against Ottens. Foddy a 50-50. Ling, very good first half. Not far behind Embley in terms of disposals.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Ken.
Nat knew he's in there. Can you imagine in about 7 or 8 minutes when Cox comes in? Poor old Ottens, he's going to be exhausted. Barty's going to have to do a lot of this ruck work.
So Ottens tries to wrap Nat Newey up. Selwood, that's Scott Selwood.
John Free slung him after. Scott Selwood. Scott Selwood.
So just a bit sloppy there by the Cats. They had the run of the ball. They certainly need the first couple of goals, you would think. Selwood off one step, really. Darling the target. Lonergan's been good. Now Bartel, a high ball. Getting underneath it, Menzel, well done. Took it in his hands, kept his eye on it. It was up there for a long time, and Nat Newey would have been in the corner of his eye. Taylor Hunt back to Menzel. Very, very short to Kelly, to Enright. Long ball in. Can the Pods take it? Should have. Didn't quite. Stokes has been quiet. Goes back to Ling, and then Ling measures it. That's a good kick. Rolling and rolling, and he's kicked the goal. The captain.
He assessed it very well, Cameron Ling. Realised it was a vacant goal square. 3 of the last 4 goals in the game for the Cats. Ottens wins this one at the boots of Prittis, though. Hacked out of there by Joel Corey. It comes out wide towards the wing. Varco, fickle bounce, sliding in Kerr. Gets the arms free. Well done. McGinnity dragged down back to Kerr. Kerr tries to go to Prittis. Nothing doing. Embley. He's tackled from behind. Kelly went in hard, and the umpire calls for it.
Does that just about better than anyone, Daniel Kerr. That ability to pull his arms clear from the tackle to still get the handball clear.
Robust little man, the people's champion, as he used to be called by Chris Judd. Corey at the base of the pack.
We heard Chris Scott at half-time. They might try a few different things as we pan across the field. There's one-on-one matchups everywhere, so Geelong not allowing West Coast to play a back and conversely not having one back themselves.
Ottens just lays it down. Britison, Kelly and Hard. Back to Bartel. Bartel got busy late in that first half. Varco got the bounce. Terrible handball. Really had to have more conviction than that. And then McGinnity threads his way through. They set up Cox. Back to McGinnity. 50-50. Shuey goes to ground. Corey doesn't take it cleanly. And then Shuey caught by Josh Hunt and a ball up.
Isn't that real confidence there by McGinnity? He took the game by the scruff and that came through, broke a tackle. Didn't quite. We just see follow-up work here from McGinnity involved initially. And then just put the afterburners on. Well played.
Varco didn't make a very good fist of that one. Corey kicks inside the forward 50, coming on the angle. Menzel, he'll kick this. No, he won't. He's normally a dead-eye dick, but he misses that time. Just down to the left, but he's getting involved so quiet in the first half, but a few kicks in this one. They need him up and about. They need Chapman. 11-7, 7-3. I'll say it again. If they get the next goal, then suddenly 22 points. Eminently gettable. Vardy on the outer side. Bartel looking for a kick and he gets it. Jimmy Bartel concussed against St Kilda in round 13. Missed the game against Adelaide the following week. This is Joel Corey setting it up towards full forward. They should take a mark here. Podsy Adley missed it. Chapman running away from his own goal to Kelly. Good evasion by Kelly. Wonderful finish by Kelly.
Just some great composure.
You get the ball into your forward line, you only need to get a kick and you're within scoring distance. That's the thing that Geelong have done better than this first part of the third quarter. They've just got the ball into their forward half a bit better.
So 4 of the last 5 goals now for the Cats. Corey had it ripped away, and then Prittis had it ripped away. Vardy, could he impose himself in his short career in the second half? Chapman did very well, gets a free kick.
Clear sail. That's it.
Lee and Tom mentioned Chapman just after half-time. He was involved with the handball to Kelly. He milks this. He does very well here, Chapman.
It's the Barty clearance. They're all of a sudden a centre bounce clearance that's quickly into your forward line. Gives your forwards every chance.
Well, 20 minutes ago, there was 40 points the difference. There was no way back for the Cats. Chapman loads it up, drives it hard and long, and they're within 16 points.
He's got that goal, Chapman. I reckon he's probably going to have to kick another 3 or 4 from this point onwards, because they've got to be able to kick 15-odd goals to win. So I think he's one of the guys that has to be able to get 4 or 5 if they're to make up this margin.
He's got that strut going too. It comes down to Corey. Corey towards half forward. Hearn takes the mark on his chest. Chapman, the prime mover, and the Cats' desperate comeback last week. 10 possessions in the last quarter. Can he help engineer another comeback? Of course, last week it proved futile. Plenty of time. Selwood gets it from Smith. This is Adam Selwood. He's on the wing. 73 plays 57. And an air of uncertainty hanging over Subi, at least amongst the supporters right now. Kennedy up high. Christensen behind the pack. Goes to Hunt. The 2 Hunts involved. This is Taylor Hunt. Feeds it forward. Enright. Feigns a hand pass. Breaks away. Wojcinski. Good hands in the back there. Selwood did well to recover. Critters upended, spills to Swift. Swift across towards McGinnity. McGinnity ill-directed, punched back by Vardy. Leg quick release. Christensen comes out to Wojcinski. Over the top to Chapman. Stokes is running. He goes down towards the pocket. Almost the mark. Juggled, taken by Johnson. So Johnson. Almost the self-same position in the dying seconds of last week that he goaled from. That was, of course, at Etihad Stadium. In he comes. He doesn't mind that position, obviously. That is a magnificent kick.
See, that's some kick, as Dennis said, isn't it, from Johnson? He kicked 4 goals in 10 minutes, Tim Watson.
Well, they've responded. I've heard about the Chris Scott scare. I sort of experienced it a little bit at half-time. I reckon he may have delivered a few home truths in there.
He certainly said terrible with some feeling, Tim, didn't he?
He certainly did.
So Christensen, Varco and Bartel. So 6 of the last 7 goals and 4 in 10 minutes here.
Yeah. And in that belief thing, that belief that they will not give up, that they don't like losing, that they'll keep persisting. That's a great quality to have in the team.
Lee, you coached Chris Scott. Was he determined?
Oh, yeah. I think his photo's in the dictionary under determined, Bruce.
Just a little Dorothy Dix early in the second half.
We saw the statistic down on the bottom just before contested possessions, 15 to 6. And that's typified the change in the ebb of the game.
Wojcinski missed a pretty easy mark a moment ago, but he and Varco have combined very well tonight. Podsiadly, Duncan, well, he had Chapman with a little handball. He went with the left foot and a boundary throw in.
West Coast have got an opportunity now with a free kick here on a boundary throw. They need to actually control the tempo of the game, just get back to kicking the ball efficiently and slowing the game down.
Duncan's going to be a very good player, but he hasn't had the best of nights. Schofield, Varco trying to hack it out of midair. Smith, Embley, short one. As Tom says, they need some control. Just consume a little bit of clock here. Swift has got the football. Lying his name. Takes a while. Kicks it up towards the wing. Oh, terrific. Harry Taylor just reaching over the top. Goes to Chapman. Stolen away by Nat-Nui. Brilliantly done. Nat-Nui swings it towards the outer side. Nikoski. That could be a game-changing moment. In short, bounces obligingly for Selwood. Critters under pressure. Left boots inside the forward 50. They've got the numbers behind the football down there, the West Coast Eagles. Outnumbered at the ball, though. Knocked across by Scarlett to Kelly. Kelly comes out wide. They'll work this out, I think. Lonigan gave it to Ling. Swift in the opposite direction. Prentice. West Coast Eagles around the football now. Nikoski. Brilliantly done, Nikoski. Couple of feins there, and he kicks it down towards full forward. The old body swerve, and the ball bounces through for a minor score. Ebert is down and hurt.
Just amazing closing speed here by Nick Nat-Nui. They just needed to get some energy back into the game, and here's the Ebert one. Quite sure what happens there. Is it a cork or a dominant cork, I think?
Tim, what have you got for us?
Well, the last time we saw the Eagles challenge was a couple of weeks ago when they were playing against Carlton. Carlton came at them in the third quarter, and they really steadied. They showed a lot of maturity, and they're really under the pump here again. Can they respond a second time?
You're spot on, Tim. It was a similar surge from the Blues. Varco gets it from Stokes. Varco running hard and then controls the kick, a bouncing ball. Well, Chapman and Johnson, we don't see them make too many mistakes. They did then, and again Nat Nui got involved. Poor kick forward by McGinnity. That was West Coast last year, not this year. That kick forward, Stokes wide. He had a very quiet first half and takes the mark. So it really is game on now, isn't it? Less than 2 goals. Back to Taylor. And then Taylor off a step to Chapman. Now Chapman starting to kick the footy and goes long. Vardy! Almost! Ling at the fall of it. Well played, Kerr. Back to Swift. Swift gets it back from Smith. Brought down. Terrific tackle by Kelly. Hunt. Well, he would love to have taken it cleanly. Ling can't quite. Ottens, Britta's played it well. Broke the tackle. It's a hot footy coming through Wajinski to Ling. Ling bouncing the ball forward. Podsiadly with strength. He was manhandled. Over the top of Rosa came Varco. The Cats are swarming hard. How good a footy was that?
That footy was radioactive, wasn't it?
Got him into it.
Well, I tell you what, had he connected with that momentum, it would have gone to Fremantle.
And would he have been done for a sling tackle?
No.
Gee, he's strong. Mackenzie's as strong as the beast.
Steady. Mackenzie did very well, let's say that. Schofield to himself, drives it outside the defensive 50. Nat Nui third in the chain. It's going to be a free kick to Ottens, who was the first man of 4.
Just the game's all about this field position thing. Whichever side gets the ball in the forward half, very hard to extricate it for the opposition.
That was against Embley, I think, coming back there, as you saw. Kick goes down towards the pocket. Vardy launched himself. Podsiadly, that's not a bad result, actually, for Geelong. Trying to soccer it, and it struck the behind post, so a boundary throw in. Podsiadly, who started with the opening goal of the night, gets to his feet slowly.
Vardy gets a tap. See, the ball's been played in the Cats forward 50 now.
We just had a look at the percentage in the forward half. Whichever, I mean, it goes without saying, of course, if you can keep the ball in your forward line, you'll eventually score. But it's been one of those games that if you get the ball in, they can't extricate it, either defence.
So Ottens, and then Embley was the third man up. That's a magnificent fist to Rosa, who kept the ball in. Stokes pushing forward. Enright charging forward, and a boundary throw in.
But what it does, we saw it in the first quarter when West Coast, and you see Motlop warming up there for Geelong. West Coast had it in their forward half. It tires out the defence, and you got the feeling halfway through the first quarter the Geelong defenders are out on their feet. So that's the challenge for West Coast now when they're under the pump.
Ottens in front of Nat Nui. Ottens with the backhand. Huey trying to find a way through. Glass had it, crashed into Duncan, kept it going at least initially. Back over his head though from Enright. Opportunity 20 metres out. It's Smith of the Eagles though. To the outer side wing, and Kennedy pushing up the ground. Kennedy looks to the middle. They've got a couple here. Selwood, Scott Selwood. Smith off his step. This will be interesting. 2 blokes in pretty good form tonight, Embley and Ling. Ling stays off Embley, feeds it back. Swift with the left foot, 2-on-1 here, needs to be knocked down in front by the Cats. Well, gets to the back. Nikoski was across the line when he kicked it, I thought. Tough call. It was touch and go, as they say, the boundary umpire. Closer to it than us. He was only about 15 metres away along the line, so we'll go with him.
So Wajinski in the back half. Cats will want to get it out of that 50 as quickly as they can. Menzel the target, and Hearn over the back. Well, this is about what we expected when we came here tonight, a close match. But it's been played in bursts, hasn't it? 9 goals without a reply. That was the Eagles against the Cats, and now the Cats doing all the scoring. Christensen's kick forward. Podsiadly hard at it, couldn't quite. Mackenzie, we saw his strength a moment ago. Embley back to Mackenzie. Over the top to Swift. Arches his back and kicks the ball with a floater to Taylor. It's been good, Taylor. I think Taylor and Lonergan have been pretty good, don't you? So Lonergan in the back half. Well, that's a dangerous, terrible kick in the end. Take a point off there, and then Lacroix goes bang and finds Kennedy.
Good composure here by the West Coast Eagles. They've been challenged and hit pretty hard at the start of this quarter, but starting to wrestle back, and a goal here certainly would hurt the Cats.
That's a bad turnover, isn't it? The errant kick that goes to the opposition in the front of the centre square. A lot of forward line open.
30 goals, 15 from set shots, Kennedy. Kicks 2 out of every 3. And that one's a poor effort across the face of goal. Mark to Cox.
That's a very hard spoil that Taylor tried there to hook it back, going with the flight of the ball, and he didn't want to punch it to the kickoff line.
He's in the Natanui pocket. He's kicked 10 goals this year, Cox. 9 of them have come here at Subiaco. Gee, they needed it. That's a big goal.
We talked before about a couple of weeks ago when they played Carlton and they had to steer themselves. Carlton came to them in that third quarter, and on that particular day 2 weeks ago, it was Cox and Kerr and Prittis who were so good at critical stages during that third term.
Cox wins it down. Chapman's over the football. Well, he appeared to be trying. He appears to be annoyed. Shuey, Lacroix, well done Lacroix. Fleet of foot across to Hearn. Hearn brilliantly done to Swift. He's been in the action in this term and he's going back to line up.
Tell you how that happened. That was really interesting to watch away from the stoppage. Brad Ottens was very mindful of Dean Cox. Dean Cox chose not to push into the forward 50. Ottens was very conscious of Cox, which allowed Swift just to drop in the hole and take the uncontested mark.
Huge kick this one. Margin 16 points. Steps inside the 50. Kick is on the way. It's working back and then went the other way and goes through for a minor score. All the drama, even down to the flight of the ball right there. An old line from Caddyshack, be the ball. Well, the ball's taken a bit of a hammering tonight, certainly at the centre bounces.
And you're right, Dennis. Swift's been good in this term. Kicked a goal in the second as well. Hunt goes long. Rosa made a really good contest. Menzel toe pokes it off the ground. Johnson went with the one hand, then does well to get it back to Christensen, who fell over. Cats had numbers behind the footy. Stokes Johnson will want to hurry. He does. Embley, Chapman, Taylor, back to Chapman, back to Stokes. And then Stokes with a slow one in right. Terrific. Oh, gee. Oh, is it good? No. Oh, that would have been advantage.
I think the umpire chose as the play wasn't continuous, which is the rule. I mean, sometimes they'll play the advantage in that situation, which would have been a big advantage if he had played it, but the players had stopped to look to see what was going on.
Well, I thought it was good body work here by the Cats, but...
yeah, a bit unlucky. Just held his ground, really.
Look at that.
Sure.
So the big spread again out wide. And Wojcinski down the line and out of play. We're almost at the point now, if you win a marking contest, surely you've got the ability to make a contest.
Well, we debated this, didn't we, Bruce, last Friday? When you take your eyes off the ball, you get pinged every time. So you've really got to be trained up to keep your eyes on the footy.
So boundary throw-in. Cox is in front. Tries to just paddle it down to a teammate standing a couple of metres away. Nowhere to go for Christensen. We'll have the ball up.
I guess the point is you don't have to get out of the opponent's way, do you, in that situation? Clearly, if you deliberately get in his way to block, then it's a shepherd. But sometimes I think the offensive player is actually running into the defender.
He mightn't have been looking at the ball, but he wasn't looking at his opponent either, was he? Enright down towards half forward. Wojcinski put a hand up. It falls behind. Darting through. This is the sub-Motlop who's on the ground. And the ball spills out of bounds. So Duncan is off. We touched on the fact that by his standards, not a good night tonight for Duncan. Drafted from East Perth, so coming home. Probably a few distractions. Boundary throw in, right half forward.
Vardy gets over the top. Cox's little kick forward. Play on touch. Wojcinski hard tackle. Christensen getting in and under a bit. Kicks to centre half forward. Motlop makes the contest. Embley did really well. And then a gang tackle, including Ottens, for a ball up.
Stephen Motlop's the player who's been activated as a sub. He's got genuine leg speed, and if he's got some breakaway, see him on screen here, some breakaway speed away from the stoppage would be really important for the Cats.
So the Cats had the third man up, and then Kelly belts the ball forward, and Menzel now playing deep forward, started deep back, and a boundary throw.
It looks like Geelong's found a yard at half-time. All of a sudden now they've got the energy to get there in numbers for the tackle, get there in numbers to try and win the footy. That's why they're back in the game.
So Cox and Ottens to lay down. Well done, but he's had a very good match. Swift couldn't quite. Cats to build up again.
Enright, hard against the boundary line, comes inside to Scarlett. Scarlett, searching kick inside the forward 50. Vardy was up, got a hand to it. McKenzie heads for the boundary line, plays along the boundary line. That's pretty clever, just drifting it out of bounds. Swift was there. He got it across the line.
It's actually quite an uncharacteristic kick there by Matt Scarlett. Usually drops it in short with a 15-20 metre pass, but decided to go long to the contest.
Scarlett just 7 possessions tonight. Keeping on that Scarlett watch because he gets so many normally. Ling took the right bounce too. He's pulled one out of his past. Cameron Ling tonight. He's up to 24 possessions now. He's been there all night. Not something you can say about too many of the Cats as the Dockers look on. Well, not all Dockers.
Because the Cats came over here early in the year and beat the Dockers in a thriller. Kick out wide. Josh Hunt well done at the back. Prittis evaded a couple of tackles brilliantly to Shuey, to Selwood, and again they spread so well, don't they? The Eagles. Ebert just had to wait a moment. Now needs to deliver. That's awful.
That's West Coast last year.
Yeah, it's retro.
Throwback West Coast Eagles.
Taylor goes back to Enright.
Reprehensible.
So Enright short. Christensen's lifted a bit in this term.
Yes.
I mean, the whole team's lifted, I know, but he's been getting first hands on the ball. And that's a clever kick. And Ottens, that's a great mark by the big guy. Now running hard, Ling, but he goes longer.
Just inside the forward 50. Glass elected to punch. Maybe not the best thing to do. Motlop deep towards the kick-off line. They battle down there. Johnson wanting a free kick. Upended was Lacroix. Close to the line. Taken across by Selwood.
Great defender, Darren Glass, but I still never really understand the double fist punch. If you've got the ability and clear enough to get 2 fists to the ball, just pluck it.
Makes sense. Tossed in, backhanded down by Cox, staggering through Selwood. Up and under. Lacroix did brilliantly. Got it down to Embley. Embley now up to 25 possessions. On the outer side, Taylor just played on casually. Did he feign that whack in the face? Don't know. Long kick down towards full forward. Podsy Adderley could have almost got it free.
Advantage!
Oh, it was the other way, and I think that was right. Podsy Adderley didn't get the free and may have latched on late. And the ball bounces out of bounds. It'll be tossed in. That was Selwood, I think, bringing it out. I was watching Podsy Adderley, who was remonstrating with the umpire, so a throw in.
Well, if Stokes had let that run out, he might have got the free kick, but he touched it before it went out, so no way it could be delivered out of bounds.
The intention was obvious, wasn't it?
He knew exactly what the Eagles player was trying to do.
Nat Nui, and then Ling. Bartel. That ball belted forward by the Eagles, and then Shuey wants it wide as well. They've played it like a rugby team, haven't they? They're kicking to touch, basically, under pressure.
That was a big contest. It was a real show of strength. Both clubs flexing their muscles, and the West Coast saluting on that occasion.
Been a great quarter of footy. Geelong made a big run, and now the Eagles are steadying. Gee, Lacroix going into the midfield's been important in this term. He's had a lot of touches. Darling forward. Cats have got numbers. Scarlett. Taylor under pressure. McCoskey can smell a goal here. Enright's with him. Embley with the both of them. Enright doesn't do them both yet. McCoskey goes back. Gets it to Smith and goes and just misses.
Hits the post. It's been impressive tonight, Smith.
Yeah. I tell you what, he's good around goals, isn't he?
For a defender.
There's Ling again. Just racking them up tonight. Tireless.
If you're Geelong here, lead, you just milk the clock and go in it.
Well, you might.
2 minutes.
Is this field position again? The ball's in the Eagles' forward half for this. It's a rugby league to field position. It's applying to AFL more and more.
Mackenzie, the big leap. Joel Corey to Menzel. Does nicely, left half back beyond the wing. Podsiadly needs a bounce and gets it. Looks up. Only 2 men inside the forward 50. One of them, Johnson, leads up, gets the footy, just lays it into the path of the runner. Needs it to sit Wojcinski. It does. He kicks a goal.
Break here. It was a pass from Menzel. And if you watch here, David Wojcinski, Pritis was actually equal in leg speed with Wojcinski, but I guess having run this whole night through the midfield, entitled to trail off a little bit then, but one against the flow.
So that's better than milking the clock, Tom.
Absolutely.
5-3 to 1-3 in this quarter. And the Cats within a couple of kicks. Big effort by Johnson there, and then wants it again. In hard was Scott Selwood, and I think it'll be a ball up. It is. Well, they're close enough to win now, Geelong, aren't they? I mean, they had to feel like
the game's alive,
probably 20 points. Yep. No matter what happens now, even a West Coast goal, you feel like the Cats can counter again with another launch in the last quarter. So it's game on. Christensen.
Good play.
On the move in the stoppage.
Hit the ball hard. You'll often draw a high tackle if you're actually going quick enough.
He's been good in this quarter. He's had a lot of first. Well, that's a poor handball. Chapman really didn't get much of a chance, and then belts the ball high.
Yeah, no advantage there. He kicks it long. It bounces off the shoulder of Nat Nui. He's paid a mark to Orban, has he? That's a bit lucky, I would have thought. It seemed to bounce off. Well, I thought Nat Nui, but somebody in that pack. Umpire saying first touch may have been Eberts. Out of the pocket then, outside the defensive 50. Bartel lurking behind. Scarlett had it knocked away by Enright. Enright recovers and then content to put it across the boundary line. 35 seconds to three-quarter time. The margin was 35 at half. And now it's only 11. Big comeback. They came out breathing fire, the Cats. Trying to nullify them. The West Coast Eagles have done okay. Certainly in the last 10 minutes. Nat Nui taken high.
Time back on.
McCoskey was being held off the pack then. Nat Nui appeared to be taken high in any case. Nat Nui a better kick of the football than his teammates. So a good result for the West Coast Eagles. Sends it down towards half forward. Kennedy edged under the footy. Taylor no way through. It spills forward. Kennedy comes again. Pushed over by Bartel. Gathered by Corey. Tries to slip it away. Christensen nothing doing. In goes Rosa. Pritis lays it off. McCoskey kicks on the siren. Three-quarter time on a Friday night in Perth. And Geelong is only Geelong can. Well, I guess Collingwood can too. But they've worked their way back into this against the odds. They trail by just 11 points and are right in this one.
Well, 3 times this year Geelong has trialled at three-quarter time and won. The most recent against Hawthorn not all that long ago, the second time they played them. And last week they were 17 points behind Essendon at three-quarter time, kicked 7 goals to 5, but fell 4 points short in a thriller. But they've given themselves a chance, haven't they? 5 goals to 1 in that third quarter.
Well, part of the reason they'd been undefeated up until last week is they'd won those 4 really close games. Last week they ended up losing a really close game, but they just always put themselves in the contest.
How did they do it then? How did they turn that round?
I thought this run the footy around the middle, it seemed to me. All of a sudden, we've spoke a lot about the field position. And if you actually win the ball out of the centre and get it into your forward line, well, it's very hard for the opposition to bring it out. Both sides have played that manner.
Let's go down to Tim Watson, who's with James Riley.
Well, James, you're within striking distance now. What brought about the change in that quarter?
Oh, I just thought we got our contested ball back. We got first of the footy and we started to spread, which really got some quality entries into our forwards, so it was good.
You spent a lot of time with the midfielders. What was the message at three-quarter time for this last quarter?
Yeah, pretty simply that, just to get first in the footy and put some really good pressure around the ball. So that was the main focus.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
So he's the midfield ruck coach for the Cats. Speaking of rucks for the opposition, Cox kicked a really important goal in that quarter. What about his effort so far tonight?
Well, I mean, we heard James Rowley there talk about the fact that Geelong got on top again in the centre clearance, got first to the ball. Dean Cox spent a lot of time forward as we see him taking a mark and kicking a telling goal. The upside to that was he's probably got a bit of extra freshness into his legs, and I think for West Coast to continue on and win the game, he needs to spend the majority of the time in the middle of the ground.
I got the impression they were a little bit better, Geelong, when Vardy was in the ruck. Like, just the more agile, quicker ruckman. And quite often Natanui, I think Cox is going to spend a lot of time in the ruck as this game goes on, and he's had plenty of rest. And see, Vardy is starting in the centre bounce and Otten's up forward.
Anyone would think you're a coach, Lee.
It's already been happening, I think. It's only an observation, past tense.
West Coast Eagles have activated their sub to Swift is off, Stevens is on, opening bounce final term, spills towards Embley, high up and under, they'll compete outside the forward 50, Enright got a fist to it, into the path of Wojcinski, he's been handy tonight, Bartel kicks it beyond the wing, coming up, doing very nicely to stifle the bounce was Hearn, but the hand pass was an errant one, came across from a teammate there towards Corey. Initially, I think it was Menzel. Now it comes back to Bartel. He goes down towards left half forward and finds Johnson. Johnson, about 80 metres from goal. That is a very clever kick. That is a beauty. Demanded something of Paul Chapman. I think he finds his teammates sometimes when his teammates don't realise they're open.
He had about 10 metres between Chapman and the boundary line. And he just kicked the ball about 5 metres from the boundary line and drew Chapman into the footy.
I reckon there was a bit of a miss kick in that. It's been very complimentary, but he does do the extraordinary things very well.
Well, there goes that debate. You know the better than I do. Here's Chapman. How big would this be? Well, not big enough. Misses to the near side. Tim?
Well, Stevie Johnson's already had a touch in this last quarter. He was unbelievable against the Bombers last week. Kicked 3 goals in that final term, so he needs to be kept under the pump in this final term for the Eagles to win.
Tell me, Tim, did you think that was a miss kick?
I don't ever profess to know what might be in the mind of Stevie Johnson.
Build a fence down there.
You feel one way or another he's going to play a part in the last quarter, don't you?
No doubt.
So Hearn now undecided to Selwood. Runs hard, draws the tackle, wanted the free kick down the ground. That's a good effort by Schofield. Running back, no fear there.
Wonderful.
So Schofield at half-back, almost up to the centre wing. And a cat there is injured. I think it's Selwood now. Quick kick forward by Stevens, who's been activated. Bouncing ball forward. Vardy has to... No, the Lonigan's got to get rid of it. Ball hasn't quite come out. Is it a free? It's a ball out. Selwood injured the back half there coming off the ground.
And that could be extremely crucial to the outcome of this game. Selwood's had the job on Steve Johnson all day. We just see the tackle here. No prior.
Cox lays it down. Shuey, boundary throw in. But the Eagles have been able to get it from one end of the ground to the other.
10 points the difference. Both subs on the ground. Cox and Vardy. Cox wins it down into the path of Embley. Lucky Scarlett was there. Only Scarlett, perhaps, could have executed that tackle. Embley had a headed steam up. He was coming through, and Scarlett just stood in his way defiantly.
Goes hand in hand with the umpires. A fair bit of leniency with the player with the footy, which I think is a fair enough thing. There's not too many holding the balls being played lately.
Vardy did well, but Kelly kicks it straight to the cry. Or was it Nikoski? Nikoski gets the goal. That's his third.
Simplicity go across goal. That was meant to go to the far back pocket, but as soon as Nikoski intercepted, but he's been rejuvenated. He's been one of the half a dozen players that have just had terrific years.
Curtis gets it from Selwood, and then Rosa. Nikoski's 3 goals equals his career high that he kicked against the Crows about 3 weeks ago in Adelaide. 9 times this year he's kicked more than 1 goal in a match. It's a good effort.
Spoke about Dean Cox at 3/4 time. And this is the Selwood injury, which could be crucial given his role on Steve Johnson. But Cox's ability again to spread away from the stoppage.
And did well there, Cox. Unfortunately, no free kick to Selwood. Kelly going forward. And the mark taken by Motlop. Can he impose himself? Both the subs on the ground. Motlop, that's a lovely long kick forward in the back against Podsiadly.
He must be strong, Mackenzie.
You feel like he's been out-muscled by Mackenzie, certainly the second half of it at Podsiadly.
He was outstanding against Carlton on the last line of defence a couple of weeks ago, and then the one-on-one battles where Podsiadly is exceptionally strong, he's certainly held his own.
Where he was great against Carlton was marking the opposition's kicks. He did that on 5 occasions. West Coast have worked this really well.
Embley to Rosa. Rosa, just forward of half back. Short one, exposes the ball to the man coming from behind Kelly. He punched it away. Podsiadly a fumble, back to Kelly. Kelly slings it out wide. Ling, clever. Onto his left boot, floats it down towards the attacking 50, coming up to meet it Vardy, waiting behind Smith, back to Rosa under pressure. As a result, kicks it directly to Ling, who centres the ball to Enright. He takes off, looks inside the forward 50, up in front there was Johnson, had it fisted away by Schofield, on his knees Rosa, Critters, nicely played back to Hearn, gets it across to Embley. Little shuffle of the feet, sends a high ball towards the wing. Ebert again, gave a contest. All that was required, stolen away that time by Ling though. Comes to Corey. Corey takes something off it. Lovely kick, finds Johnson. But I'd venture to say too far out to score. He shares that opinion, goes down towards the pocket. Not much percentage in that or that. Podsiadly should have taken it out of bounds, and as a result it's coming the other way. Ebert.
Might hurt them too. Taylor in the hands of the trainers for a moment. Darling got it to Shuey. Brilliant kick to Lacroix. You'd back him from here. He's hit the post. Hit the bottom of the post. He was never going to miss.
Exquisite kick from Shuey to hit up Lacroix like that, and they were certainly away. Geelong able to keep the ball with repeat inside forward 50s, but the one open precision kick is just the Eagles repelled was all they needed.
How many lives does a cat have? Because you felt like they had that gone through, it might have been one goal too many.
They've done that a couple of times tonight on the forward line, kept the ball alive with no real reasoning, just slapping it back in. Should have been a boundary throw in about 40 metres from Geelong's attacking goal. As it was, Lacroix, an unusual miss. Here's Bartel with courage, took the mark, plays on, kicks inside the forward 50. Podsiadly up in front this time, crumbs his own ball, knocks it across towards Chapman, in trouble, back to Podsiadly, flicks it to Ling, Ling on the 50, wonderful stuff, kept his head. That ball was bouncing around like a pinball in there. The two other Geelong players really treating it like a hot potato, and the poise of Ling.
Been really good tonight, the skipper, Cameron Ling.
Terrific. So Wojcinski to pull it back to 11 points. Been a good game, but not the game we expected. It's come in a different wrapping. That's a beautiful kick, sweetly timed, and just falls away over the last 5 metres of its trip. Minor score, so the margin 16 points.
So Chapman missed a harder one. Wojcinski misses probably a 60-40 one. West Coast had a lot of shots a goal early in the match. Oh, wonderful mark by Kennedy, eh? Just big arms, a lovely kick to Ebert. It's been a good player, Ebert, tonight. Running hard on the left foot, delivering. Scarlett versus Lacroix. What a matchup that is. Scarlett, handball over the top. Varco, Chapman. Asks a bit of Varco. He's the right man for it. Runs his measure. Kicks the ball wide. Big ball here. Motlop will be outnumbered. Needs the bounce. Got it. Made the footy talk a bit. Can he deliver? Good kick. That's a magnificent kick to centre half forward. And Menzel, can he get it on? No, he's going to go back and kick a goal.
Good work there by Matthew Stokes just to say to Daniel Menzel, go back, kick the goal. He had Stephen Johnson free in the square, but that was terrific play by Stephen Motlop. Got the bounce, the rub of the green if you like, but nothing fluky about the kick there. Backed himself in and pinpointed Menzel at centre half forward.
He's come on fresh as the sub, but he's given him a lot of life, hasn't he?
So Menzel with a shocker. He's only 50-50 before that kick from set shots. That's just it's hard to explain, isn't it?
No place to hide when you do that at Patterson Stadium with 45,000 screaming Eagles fans.
Actually, 3 shots at goal in this last quarter, all from set shots and 2 behinds.
Frittis out against the boundary line. Kicks it well short of the wing. Smith, or is it Stevens? Stevens the sub takes the mark, just ghosting in. It's barely 15. Play on's the call. Rosa at close quarters to Kerr, and Kerr kicks it directly out of bounds. He's drifted out of the game, Kerr. 9 possessions in the first term, 10 since. He set the standard early. Here's Chapman. Centering kick. Ottens. The Cats are coming again. Just flexing a little muscle here. Sets it up inside the forward 50. Hand pass from Stokes to Johnson. Wheels around. Here's trouble. Johnson trying to improvise. Went to Kelly. Appear to be carried forward. No free. Kelly battles after the ball. He's outnumbered. Eventually it spills across towards Taylor Hunt. He's got the same problem that his teammate had moments ago.
Geelong dives on it, Taylor. Dives on the footy.
I thought he went down with it. I thought he had it when he was standing up.
So Nat Newey back. Gee, they did well to corral Johnson there, didn't they? I mean, he was just trying to get the angle and be able to get enough weight on the kick, and he was able to do nothing like that in the end. But West Coast here, just a little nervy coming out of their back half at the moment.
Challenge for West Coast. They played with so much energy, particularly in that second quarter, where it's got to take something out of the legs. So for them to hold on is going to be their real test.
They've only kicked 2 goals since half-time, West Coast. You feel like they need at least 1 more. Kerr well played to Nat Newey, and that's a lovely give over the top. And then Nikoski down the line, looking for Lacroix. Well played by Scarlett. What a match-up that'll be. That's a poor kick. Missed the target. Yep, Selwood. Now to Smith. It's opened up. Darling's out wide here if they get it to him. He's all on his own. Ebert now goes to him and gets him. He's the youngest man out there tonight, Darling.
I just love his work rate. He's got himself in the clear here. He's just worked all night. Presents, launches at the football.
He and Menzel are the only teenagers out there, but Darling's just turned 19.
He's very good. They hold their width in the forward line really well, and quite often they've got from forward flank to open side.
Gee, this would be some goal. And like Menzel, well, it's a better kick than Menzel's. Anything would have been a better kick than Menzel's, but it's a miss.
Hasn't had a lot of the football, Jack Darling, just 8 possessions, but he's a good player.
Yeah, I reckon the coach would be happy with what he's done from a structural point of view, and just his effort, his work rate's been outstanding.
Just oozes class. Hunt out of defence, 3 on 2, but the 2 prevail. At least one of them does. That's Chapman. Easily his best term, this final one.
Chapman realised that they double-teamed Taylor on those long kick-ins, so he just jumped third up.
So the bad news for the Cats is half the term virtually gone to the wing, and there's that situation with Glass again. That's not really the 2-fister, the 1-fister, but nobody up with him.
It's a really interesting one, Dennis, because the direct match-up is Glass on Stephen Johnson on that particular forward thrust, and just the captain to go in, take the mark, intercept the ball, regain possession does wonders for your team's confidence.
Otten's a bit unlucky, just missed Chapman. Strong tackle by Bartel, jarred the ball out of Smith's hands. In goes Prittis, he's tackled, ball up.
So the Cats need 3 goals in 10 minutes. Don't feel like West Coast are going to go bang, bang, bang anymore, do you? Stevens is a good in and under player. Embley as the Eagles chant goes around the ground. Selwood back on the ground. Oh, great mark. It's been terrific, Taylor. Western Australian, of course.
Right, here's junior footy with Jack Darling.
Down the line, I think with Josh Kennedy, wasn't he? He played against Kennedy. Now Christensen's read it beautifully. Can he kick a goal? He decides to set it up. Who looks back quickly enough? Bouncing ball. Stokes over the top. Goal, no. Motlop couldn't. Brilliant tackle. Who was that? Was it Smith? It was.
Just didn't have quite the strength to actually swing the leg and actually connect to the footy. It really should have been a goal, but just didn't quite have the strength to stay with the footy.
Oh, well done by Smith. Boundary throw in. Vardy and Nat Newey Nat Nui decisively. Rosa out of defence. In front with Jenski. Paid the mark. Will advantage be paid? Not if you paid the mark. Not the free kick it was. Granted the mark. Oh, Chapman. Generally reserved for under 12s that, but it works out okay. Those kids know something. Chapman, hand pass to himself, got the footy with the centering kick. Is going to result in a free kick to be taken by Ebert against Ottens. Well, Ottens has got quite a few free kicks tonight. He's given up plenty too. Out of defence then. Ebert comes wide. Bartel went back. Put a hand in there. That was good enough. Little chip inside the forward 50. Stevie J.
Steve!
There's a chance to go all the way here.
Yep, that's it.
Don't think you'd want any other cat to have the ball right now than Johnson.
Bartel.
Oh, well, there you go.
He's still going.
And going he does. And just misses. Oh, he is a different player, but we knew that, didn't we?
I reckon he was a bit worried about the distance, because you have to kick it 50 metres, and I don't know whether he's a really good long kick at times, particularly when you're a bit tired.
He does have the hook when he goes for the long kick, and just forgot the sidestep around Selwood.
Well, I think good to see that Chris Scott's still got a sense of humour.
Cats ball. Hearn putting it out of bounds on the full. Jimmy Bartel descended back in. They're still coming, the Cats. Terrific finish to this game. Bounces down towards full forward. Motlop misses virtually everything. Just sneaking it in for a minor score. No easy mission, this one. He's behind the pack, although looking at that, perhaps could have done better. It needed the hard kick.
0-4 now for the quarter for the Cats.
15 points the margin. Hearn with the football. Kicks it well outside the defensive 50. Ebert missed the mark in front. Bartel goes to ground. Ebert kept coming, knocked it across to Priddis, who bounces it out of bounds.
So pretty even the time in that forward half overall, but look at the fluctuations.
Big discrepancies, hasn't it, as we've sort of commented all night of the time in field position.
So Vardy and Natanui. Ling brought down. He's been fantastic, Ling.
That's been terrific. And he hasn't had a particular run with Roll. He's just been an offensive ball-getting midfielder.
So Corey rolled the dice and played the advantage. Bartel was going to go. Good grab, though, by Podziadli. He's just come off the interchange. Sees a one-on-one forward. Kicks the ball poorly, and Glass comes across and takes the mark. That captain's mark that Tom's been talking about. Kicks the ball out wide. Kelly did really well there. On Nikoski, back inboard. Rosa to Scott Selwood. Back to Kerr. And then Kerr wide. The Eagles could make it now. Stevens looks up and goes bang.
Finds Mark Lacroix. Down towards right half forward. Lacroix spots the leading Kennedy. Goes to him. He's 70 metres out from goal. There's a man on. It's Embley. He's got it now, Embley. Did he play on? Yes, he did. Weaves around. Makes it hard for himself. This will bring the house down. Degree of difficulty 10.
Great build-up by the West Coast Eagles, and it started with the skipper taking the mark, backed himself in instead of spoiling, and then got the rebound. And then the ability of West Coast to spread all night has been one of the hallmarks, as we see here.
We see here, for some reason, Enright left Embley to actually, and they just didn't coordinate their efforts, the two Geelong defenders. Two of them went to man the mark, and Embley was the one on his own, even though he almost messed it up. It was a great finish in the end.
Had a good night, Andrew Embley, 31 disposal. Started as a loose man behind, so he's been in the thick of the action all night. Finishing strong.
So 10 goal scorers for the first time this year for the Eagles. And surely they've put enough gap between themselves and the Cats. Kicked by Chapman. Bartel tried to protect the footy. Stevens getting a few touches. Scott Selwood went without it. And then brought Christensen down to Stokes. Stokes looks up, wants Johnson. No free kick. Played it well, Johnson. So did Selwood. Johnson kept his head, but they ganged up on Podziadli. And then Kerr with a lovely little check side. Clever kick to Priddis. Might have weathered the storm, I think, the Eagles. Priddis in the back half.
Up towards the wing from behind. Enright got a fist on it. Hunt in two minds. Christensen's been good. Strong tackle there on Kerr. Ball just rolls out towards the boundary line. Then comes back in under the pack. Chapman tackled by Stevens. Too high, says the umpire. But the margin is 21 points. They've got to get cracking now. Wonderful night for the West Coast Eagles. We said their victory against Carlton, their best since Chris Judd left the club. Still may rate better than this one, but this has been most impressive, and this is the one that has really been built up as Schofield takes the defensive mark. For so long, the yardstick in the AFL, Geelong, and they recaptured that form until last week. Selwood miscues slightly, waiting for it. Hearn's strength. He bullocks his way out of trouble. Wojcinski couldn't bring him down. Now Scott Selwood lays it down towards the attacking 50. Look out! Coming up the ground was Enright, played it well. Trying to knock it back to Enright was Chapman. Nikoski kicked into an oncoming player. Hand pass comes out from Hunt. Taylor Hunt gave it towards a teammate of Wojcinski. Taylor Hunt backed up. Stokes feeds it forward. Joel Corey storms through midfield. It's now or never. Wojcinski takes the mark on the lead to pull it back to 15 points. Or rather, Podsiadly. He's kicked two. Joel Corey, beautiful poise. Podsiadly. Was really battled tonight to find touches. Can redeem himself here. It's going to sneak through. It's a goal. He's got three. And suddenly it's back to 15 points with just over 4 minutes remaining. And according to Lee's method of working this out, there is still time.
Still time. 4 goals in 4 minutes. There's always a possibility. That was one of the few times where the Geelong have been able to get through the centre corridor as players are getting a little bit tired when there was that flurry of possessions.
Jim. Zotten's off the ball there.
Yeah, he's been in a bit of trouble.
That'll be looked at for sure.
So just saw Brad Otten's feeling an opponent away from the ball. Cats were about here last week, weren't they, against the Bombers? They got a fortuitous free kick on that occasion to Johnson without the ball being played, but next minute or two will be so revealing. Ottens wins a brilliant tap. Christensen held up, might have been a bit stiff. Bartel really good there on Priddis, and then copped the high one, and then plays it on. Not sure if he should have gone like that, Bartel. He might have been better off to go back and have the kick and the boundary throw in.
That bit of play there by Jimmy Bartel is exactly what we hear Chris Scott talk about with this group.
Biggest home and away crowd between these two teams ever, 40,164. So basically a sellout here at Patterson Stadium. It's a huge build-up, and boy, will this city celebrate tomorrow morning and tonight if the Eagles hang on.
Inside the last 4 minutes then, John Worsfold still working the phone. Nat Nui drifting over the top of the pack, follows up his own work. Corey, Nat Nui got a boot to it while on his back. Otten's hand passes towards the line, knocked out by Ling. Boundary throw in.
Calling for deliberate. I'm not sure you deliberately take the ball out of bounds when you're 15 points down with 3 minutes to go.
Man on man inside the forward line, although Cox is going back. He's the extra man back at the moment. Scott Selwood, the hand pass into the path of Lacroix. In the opposite direction, doing well was Hunt, but the hand pass not so good. Priddis feeds it forward. In trouble, Rosa. Kennedy in midair. Taken down by Kelly. It spills to Bartel. Bartel trying to build from the back. Goes to Lonigan to Enright. Looping hand pass over the top. It's taken by Kelly. Kelly straight to Selwood. And he's been very reliable tonight. Adam Selwood thinking about running down the clock. Now decides to come down the line.
Down the line he goes. Big fly for me, but Stevens runs into a brick wall, but it comes out. Ebert probably pushed in the back. Motlop. Wojcinski had to backtrack. Danger here. Motlop manhandle. Ball ricochets. Ling. Well, he played it well, Ling. To Motlop. To Ottens. And then Johnson. Magnificent handball under pressure. This is the last roll of the dice. The kick forward. They need a goal. Chapman. 55 out. Looks at the goals. Sizes it up. Over the top. Menzel should kick it. He does. There's still a chance.
Here Paul Chapman had to assess because Dean Cox was pushing back to fill the hole, and Menzel finally kicking the goal. James Kelly's been the player who's really, I guess since half-time, has led the charge from the contest point of view, so this never say die attitude of the Cats is still alive.
Matt Nui hooks it down. Umpire will do it again. There's the equation. 96 plays 87. Just over 2 minutes to go in this one.
Look at that, 16-5.
They need the next goal in probably the next 40 seconds. Can't leave it too late, because then you've got to control the football as the kick comes in from Enright. Glass gets it from Cox. Slips it across towards Schofield. Schofield drives towards the outer side. Oh, terrific stuff by Ebert. He couldn't hang on. Great tackle by Wojcinski. Ebert goes out of bounds. That's got to be deliberate.
Just couldn't quite hold the mark, could he? Gee, what a last quarter Chapman's played.
Hasn't kicked the goals, but he's just been terrific in his ball winning.
That kick just eludes Glass. They've got the numbers back, the Eagles. So in that back half, and then Glass had to keep it in only as far as Chapman.
12th disposal.
And then Chapman measures it, wants Ottens, and Matt Nui, the crowd favourite, takes the mark.
They've got a lot back, the Eagles. They've got about 15 of their players in their back 50. Now they'll push out.
Sense it's been a frustrating night for Brad Ottens tonight.
So Selwood's long kick. Christensen. Back to Menzel. Touched off the boot. I think Ottens maybe held on to their free kick. The old Ottens might have gone all the way here. I don't know if he's got it in his legs. Decides to pop it up to full forward. Pozziello takes a screamer.
But there's not time on. The clock will keep running. He's got to get back quickly and actually should put the foot on the ground. You put the ball on the ground, yes. It's time on.
But he plays on and kicks behind. Hits the post.
It's not everything.
That's really interesting, that point you make there. Yeah. I don't reckon many players would know the rule about time on in that situation.
Yeah, in other words, if you to roll the ball back to where, then once you pick it up, then the time starts again if you're in late in a game and you want to kick it quickly.
It's been 6 years since the Eagles have beaten a team sitting on top of the table.
Kick in from Hearn, gets it out of the danger zone. The ball trickles out of bounds and the Eagles are home. 21 seconds to go. 96 plays 88.
It was 2006 they beat the Crows. That was the most recent time. So make that 5 seasons. 2006 against the Crows.
Kerr to Embley. The veterans have done brilliantly again tonight. The ball is out of bounds, closer to the Eagles' goal.
It's been a really
get the word down there near the dugout, Tom.
Really valuable contributor tonight, but no doubt about that. The crowd are ecstatic, so they should be.
Well, they've gone from larvae to butterflies in 14 weeks. It's amazing. What a transformation. Darling, one of the reasons why. Pritis, as always, wait for the siren. Eagles win. Thoroughly deserved. They win by 8 points on Friday Night Football in Perth.
I'll tell you what, it might not be a premiership, but I reckon it feels like one. Yeah. I mean, this crowd's just erupted. You can see the reaction to the players rolling Geelong. It really vindicates you're in the top bracket.
Yeah, no doubt. And the way they played, Lee, was just outstanding. The energy, playing the right way. The coaches would be so pleased with the performance of the West Coast Eagles.
Let's go down to Tim. Down at ground level. Tim, what a game we've seen.
Unbelievable game, Bruce, here with Andrew Emberley, and the reaction from the crowd, I think they enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been through some pretty tough times in recent times, and just a great effort tonight. I thought our defensive pressure was fantastic, and keep the winning score in the end, which was good.
This side's a real deal. I mean, you've beaten Carlton and Geelong in successive games now.
Yeah, no, it's all about improvements. Coming from a wooden spoon, so it's all about just getting better. I think the improvements come from young players, old players. Defensively, as I said, has been really good. So as long as we keep our focus and keep doing all the team things, then I think we'll keep getting results.
They're hard to put away tonight, though, weren't they?
Oh, they're a wonderful team, and we knew they'd keep coming. So to our credit, I thought we fought it out.
Well done, congratulations.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, 20 kicks, Andrew Emberley. One of them so important in the last quarter of the goal. Do you think 4 has become 5? Do you think the Eagles are up there with Hawthorn and Carlton and Geelong and just behind Collingwood?
Oh, well, they've got to be. I mean, they rolled Carlton in Melbourne the other week. They've rolled Geelong here. So I think they're clearly, their improvement this year has just been extraordinary from where they were last year. But that's all history. I think right now, they're certainly in the top bracket.
Let's go back to Tim. He had one premiership player who won a Norm Smith medal. He's got another premiership player with him, Dean Cox.
Well, that's a great effort again tonight, team.
Yeah, huge effort on the boys. We were challenged. They're a fantastic side and really came on and held on, which is good.
And set it up with a magnificent second quarter too. I mean, you really dominated them.
Yeah, we did. We really set ourselves for tonight after the break. We've had a good break. We worked hard, looked at what we've done well all year and took it out again tonight.
You've got some great young players, but also the senior players, even against Carlton. You guys, the mature guys, really settled the side a couple of weeks ago, and again, that happened tonight.
Yeah, it does, and that's what we're here for. We want to try and lead these younger guys through and really develop them quick as we can, so it's working so far.
This crowd's been quiet for a number of years, but they've come to life.
Yeah, they've been fantastic this year, and hopefully we can give them something to cheer about for the remainder.
Well, you're well on the way.
Yeah, we're going all right. So it's still a long way to go, though.
Well done.
Well, he's seen the highs and he's seen the lows, Andrew Emberley. Bukowski so good tonight. A perfect gentleman as they win by 8 points. Challenged after half-time. It was a great fight back by Geelong after a wonderful second turn by the Eagles. Interesting too, going with the 2 big guys. You've got to say it paid dividends tonight. Cox and Nat Nui, 13 possessions apiece, but it was in the aerial work. They just wore Ottens down. In fact, they beat him easily early and just put the finishing touches to it in the last quarter. Tim?
Johnny, proud of the boys tonight?
Oh, well, I'm always proud of them. I've been proud of them since I've been coaching them. So it was a special effort tonight. Coming up against the Cats, we talked about it before the game. How they don't play too many bad ones in a row, and they threw everything at us, but held on well.
The team's transformation has just been extraordinary. Did you see it coming?
Well, I could see it coming. It's come pretty quick in terms of this year, but we're still a long way short of where we want to get to. We're building our list and this squad to be able to play what we believe is top 4 football. We've shown it for good parts of this year, but at other times we show we've still got a long way to go. So we're prepared to do the hard work it's going to take.
The crowd loves it. The chant's gone up. Yeah. I mean, realistically, though, you've beaten Carlton now, Geelong, 2 top 4 sides in the last 2 weeks. Do you have to reassess your side now?
Well, you only reassess if you have real strict goals that you've set, and our goals are about continual improvement and working hard, and so we'll just keep doing that. We want to be a lot better team than we are today, and the wins are great at the moment, but we've still got to improve.
Thanks for your time again.
Thank you.
I've got to say, he did steadfastly believe that this team could turn it around quickly, maybe not this quickly. I remember a Melbourne critic saying John Worsfold was doing stand-up when he said that. Well, he's had the last laugh. Game's over. West Coast win by 8 points on Friday Night Football.
Shapes just to hide in this place, but I'm
They certainly are. They're flying high tonight. The West Coast Eagles improved their record to 10-4. They win by 8 points on Friday Night Football, 96-88. And as you can see, they led at every change. Geelong trying to get back after halftime simply couldn't do it. I know a lot of people will tune in again tomorrow morning on 7 Mate to take a look at the West Coast Eagles just to make sure it's true. And it is. That was a terrific game of football. Enjoyed that. Always like to see a situation where a champion team is tested. Geelong was still champs in their way, but of course they had to lower their colours tonight. Andrew Embley, 31 years of age, 32 possessions tonight. He was outstanding. He really has this season wound back the clock.
Well, this is the last goal of the game. Just prior to that, Corey Enright had left him to try and double team, made that mistake, but then when Embley got the footy, he was under pressure, looked like he was in trouble, but he just had enough composure, got onto his favourite right foot. Terrific goal really to be the last goal of the game that Geelong couldn't overtake the margin.
Sometimes when things go wrong, it confounds everybody, doesn't it? And that worked out beautifully as far as he was concerned. Well, down in the rooms now, Tim Watson is talking to one of the stars of tonight. On the forward line, Mark Nikoski of the West Coast Eagles.
That's another great victory against another top side.
Yeah, it was a great effort by the boys. We got challenged in the third quarter again, and it was great to see us respond and hold on because they came pretty hard.
They are a great side. I mean, they're always going to come at you, but there's a level of maturity about this group too that has been we're able to withstand that against Carlton, against tonight against Geelong.
Yeah, I think it's probably we're seeing the rewards of another solid pre-season. You know, we're practicing our structures really hardly and trying to stick to that. So I think we're showing that when we do that, we can stand up to whoever's challenging us, which is great.
And you're playing so well. You must be enjoying your footy.
I'm having a blast. Feel like a kid again, and it's been an interesting run, but really enjoying it. Loving being out there to lead these young guys and just seeing the smile on their face when we win games is great.
How far do you reckon this group can go this year?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think it's something you can't put anything on. We're just got to keep going, keep playing the way we're playing, and who knows? I think that's the best thing. It's an unknown.
Well done again tonight.
Thanks, Tim.
Kicked 3 goals, did Mark Nikoski. As we take a look inside the Geelong rooms, you know them better than most, Tom. He played a terrific game tonight, talking about winding back the clock. Cameron Ling.
Yeah, he certainly did. I mean, he played a leading role all game. Brad Ottens was probably frustrated by Nat Nui and Cox, I think, during the day, and Paul Chapman was the other one who really got them back into the game in the last quarter. It was a never-say-die attitude, but the effort of West Coast in particular in that second quarter when they really turned it on was too much to peg back for the Cats.
That was the key, wasn't it? They'd fought their way back and taken the lead at quarter time, but that second quarter, 6 goals to 2. As we take a look at their running football, they really just looked like they were steamrolling their opposition. Well, much vaunted Cats.
Well, they kicked 9 consecutive goals either side of quarter time, and everyone chipped in. I think it was Embley and Prittis played a fantastic game. Cox and Nat Nui ran around and Nikoski rejuvenated forward. It was as impressive a half an hour of football as we've seen. I think it was Collingwood-esque. We spoke during the call about the similarity between this passage of play, in particular the half an hour of power, if you like, where they just went whoosh. It was a bit like Collingwood in the preliminary final when they dismantled the Cats only 9 months ago, and that certainly set up the win for the West Coast Eagles.
So the Cats lose 2 in a row. Joel Selwood, clearly a very big ingredient, but gee, it's more than that, do you think, or what do you make of it, Tom?
Oh, look, I think Joel Selwood's certainly going to add plenty to the side when he comes back in next week, but it was just the ability for West Coast to win the ball in the contested situation, get it forward, and then lock it forwardly. It was all about time in the forward half, wasn't it?
When you look at the inside 50s just there, that Geelong had, 7-9 more inside 50, so they had the ball in their forward line a little bit, but that half an hour footy you spoke about, the late in the first quarter, early in the second quarter, that won the game for the Eagles, but Geelong kept coming as they always do.
So look out, the Wooden Spooners are on the march. Suddenly 10-4, they win by 8 points tonight. The West Coast Eagles are purring, just as the V8s will be this weekend. Tomorrow, they're in Townsville.
So it really was the 8-point game, wasn't it, for West Coast tonight? They won 96-88. Nikoski with his 3, Podsiaddy with 2 in the first quarter and 1 very late. Lots for Embley, 32, and Ling very good. We've talked a lot about him. Chapman really got going after half-time. Okay. Should the AFL bring back State of Origin, Lee?
No, too many states play AFL.
Tom?
I probably agree with Lee on that one. I would have loved nothing more than to play for South Australia against Victoria, though.
So let's see what you think on Sunday. We're going back to the Geelong rooms. The Cats are in for an interesting week, I reckon. Let's go down with Tim Watson with Neil Barn, their footy manager.
Well, Neil, what's the plan for the next week? I know you're heading to the Gold Coast after this game.
Yes, the thinking was it's hard work to go West Coast and then Brisbane and play, a lot of travelling. The thought was maybe this time of year get a bit of sun on their back, change of environment, give the blokes a couple of days off, but after losing 2 games, they probably don't deserve it in a way. But I think in the bigger plan, it's going to be good for them. We'll start really preparing seriously for the game on Wednesday in Brisbane, so shouldn't miss too much with that, but give them a little bit of a break.
Was this planned all year to do this?
Yeah, Chris had the idea early days when he looked at the draw and looked like an opportune time to try and do it. So so it's been on the drawing boards for quite a few months.
And is there a special training facility up there that you're going to use?
Oh no, we're lucky enough we're going to use Metricon and Southport, I think, and a couple of gyms as well, including there. So no, they've been very kind to us actually. So we should be fine.
And you didn't get any injuries tonight?
No, I've only just got here. I don't think so. No, nothing serious, I don't think.
Okay, so you came out of it reasonably unscathed anyway.
Well, yeah, we got smashed a bit early in the game, but again, this is for the Coasters' sake, of course, but we're really pleased with the way the boys had another crack at it, but it was a bit disappointing early.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tim.
Was Coach of the Year not that long ago, Bum. He knows what he's talking about. Lee, you know how hard it is to travel from Perth to Brisbane.
Yeah, but you also, there's an advantage of sleeping in your own bed for a week as opposed to being away and sleeping in the strange environment for a week. But anyway, that sun better be very valuable because there's a fair price for a bit of sun on the back, I reckon.
Might be part of the Gary Ablett deal that they get to train at Metricon and share their gym perhaps. So there's a lot of love between Gold Coast and Geelong. Great to see.
It would be a few dollars, wouldn't it, going up there?
I think, well, they did budget for it, I know that, and identified it in the draft and in the schedule, and that's what the good clubs can do if they've got money in the bank to do it.
What a good game we saw tonight, eh? Let's see how West Coast go in the last part of the season. But you feel like they're here to stay, and for Geelong, well, they lost the match, but I don't think they lost too many fans the way they came back. Thanks for being with us on what was a really special Friday night match.